Daytona's racing history began with chasing land speed records and racing stock cars on the sand flats of its famous beaches before Bill France Sr. constructed the iconic 2.5-mile D-shaped oval in 1959 to compete with the legendary status of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In 2020, the Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with the beginning of a new season for NASCAR and IMSA, and tonight, PitStop TV brings you the opening round for the third season of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. Trey Patton and Trey Shuttlesworth with me in the booth, as Trey Shuttlesworth actually doubles as our social media guy. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the season opener for the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series, live from the virtual Daytona International Speedway for 250 miles around the famed High Banks. Trey Patton, as always, thanks for joining me. We were just on air a couple of nights ago, but it's been a whole weekend in between, and now we join you, everybody at home, on a Sunday night for the first time in quite a while here on PitStop TV, welcoming in a brand new league. We have 100 laps on tap, as aforementioned. That adds up to 250 miles. The stage lengths, 30, 30, and 40, means we have stage breaks at 30 and 60 laps complete, respectively, as opposed to paying out the entire top 10 like you do in a traditional NASCAR stage break. We're only paying points out to the top 5, which of course then means we pay 5 to the stage winner, 4 to second, and so on, where 5th place only earns 1 point. We have one fast repair for these drivers this evening. Bonus points, you can get them via getting the pole, getting a lap led, and getting the most laps led. And we have 4 total sets of tires to get these drivers 250 miles, which is definitely enough. And I think this is going to be one of the only races on the season, Trey Patton, especially in contrast to next week in Atlanta, where these drivers may actually end the race with an extra set.
Yeah, especially with this new tire model, tires are going to be ate up a lot, and especially at Atlanta, you know, that racetrack uses up tires a lot, so they're definitely going to be using them. You know, thankfully here you don't use a lot of tires, so yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. The tire limits will be definitely executed a lot, and just trying to strategize that's going to be fun to watch.
Overall, I just think it's something that we're probably not going to see come into play too much tonight, just because Daytona International Speedway, despite the fact that we're in the daytime, isn't going to see a high level of tire degradation. Although we're probably are going to see a lot of tire changes if we're near the back end of a fuel run and these guys have to fill up with 2 tanks of fuel, because to fill up with 2 tanks of fuel, it does take about 12 seconds or so. So basically, the grip on the tires isn't going to be much of an issue, but we're probably going to go through the tires quite a bit tonight.
And you know what I just noticed, ladies and gentlemen? We actually have an open qualifying session. I don't think we were prepared for this. I thought we had a lone qualifying session, but this is going to be exciting now with open qualifying here at Daytona, and I would assume the rest of the stops on the schedule. So this is an exciting way to open things up. Here's pictured is the number 2 of Hayes Booth drafting up behind the number 3, and I'm working on getting the name on the number 3 of Tommy D'Angelo. They've got the number 17 behind them. That's piloted this evening by Nick Hurd, and we'll actually go to his onboard watch these guys. So the big thing about open qualifying on a NASCAR track, specifically one as large as Daytona, Talladega, and others, is of course you can draft. You can help your lap time out. In lone qualifying, you can't do that. On the other NASCAR tracks on the circuit, it's helpful to still draft, but it's not nearly as big of an advantage as it is at Daytona. Of course, if you're at all familiar with this kind of racing, restrictor plate racing, super speedway racing, you know that the draft, the slipstream, whatever you want to call it, is ever important, and that's going to influence every aspect of this evening's race. And that's going to start with these qualifying laps as they come running in. Nick Hurd is going to follow these guys across the line. That is, again, the number 2 of Hayes Booth and the number 3 of Tommy D'Angelo. They complete complete their first lap and go to the top of the board respectively, of course. Nick Hurd tops that off. Now, the other interesting thing to this straight pattern is if they bump draft, if they make contact with one another, their lap is invalidated because it is considered car contact despite being what comes across to the driver as a 0x. So they have to be careful to draft, but not to bump draft.
Right, I was just about to mention that that's really key to open qualifying here. You know, you mentioned the draft is the key here, but the main key is making sure you can get the draft without making contact with somebody else, because you may have the pole time, but you know, as soon as you get that 0x, that's the difference of starting on pole or starting last.
The other big thing you have to take into account is whether or not you want to be at the front or the tail end of a pack here under group qualifying. By going to the front end of a pack, you're basically sacrificing a potentially, pole running lap time because you just can't get all the toe in the slipstream if you're a following car. But it could guarantee a good mid-pack starting position if you're in a pretty strong and consistent pack here in group qualifying. We only have about a minute left here, and most of these guys have had a lap accounted for in timing and scoring, but there's a few without a time, and we are only down to 1:10, I believe.
We kind of stayed on that group for a while there in this 5-minute qualifying session for a good reason, because it watched the really, I guess, qualifying battle really change and the strategy change, and we got to see how exactly these drivers were strategizing for this qualifying session. What I noticed was, if we can actually go back to Nick Hurd's group, Nick Hurd ran in third that first lap out. He set his time, and then whoever was first fell back to third in line. The front two then bump drafted. That's why the 2 and the 3 had invalidated lap times at first, and then they changed it up again, or at least they tried to, until their party was disrupted by this group of cars here as they run through turns 3 and 4. So, Nick Hurd's going to go around in qualifying, and he's going to collect some others. There goes that lap time run for those drivers, but certainly strategy, along with the draft, is going to make itself known all night long.
Yeah, strategy, figuring out how to work that draft. I mean, even in qualifying there, you're seeing some guys having some issues, but even trying to utilize that in the race is going to be a key, because you don't want to, make the wrong move, because, even just no matter what you're racing in, but especially in a pack, or even just a track like Daytona Talladega, or even Fontana or Michigan, just one small block or wrong move in a pack like that just can be ultimate carnage.
The one thing that these drivers have that guys in the real physical world do not tonight is one fast repair. So if these guys do get some critical terminal damage on their cars, they are going to get one chance to get a completely clean car. So they still have to strategize with that in terms of how aggressive they want to be over the course of 250 miles, but they do have one get-out-of-jail-free card tonight.
And as qualifying does wrap up, we have about 20 seconds left in this session, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Warren, currently our pole sitter, and he would gain that first point of the season for doing so. He is pictured in the second of 2 number 17 cars that we've seen so far, but he has scored in the 076. We'll see if that changes at Atlanta next week. Jeff Napier, I don't know why I said Napier, Jeff Napier in the number 40 qualifies second, and we'll walk down your entire grid here momentarily. But again, that first bonus point already going out the window. 2-1 Scott Warren in the number 076, pictured as the number 17 as far as his paint scheme goes. Walking down the rest of your grid, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue with Jeff Napier, who I mentioned is qualifying on second place outside pole. Going back to row number 2, we have, of course, Chris Mathis in the number 18 and Colt Ansley in the number 86. To round out your top 5, we bring you Chris Johnson in the number 78. Then it's Fred Straywich to his outside in 6th place in the number 27 machine. In row number 4, it's Alan DeFries and Nick Hurd, who we talked about a little bit in qualifying as well. So the 71 and 17 reversing themselves. And in row number 5, to round out your top 10, is David Bradford in the 46 and Tommy Angelo in the number 3.
In 11th, we have Cody Harger. In 12th, we have Hayes Booth. 13th, we have Bobby Hamilton Jr. And 14th, we have Thomas McMullen. 15th, Justin Napier and John I butchered that. I'm sorry.
That's certainly a name. I feel bad for you.
I feel bad. I'm sorry. I will work on getting that. 17, we have Will Hewitt. 18th, we have Vincent Short. 19th, we have Andrew Cootie. And 20th, we have Mark Truxell. And then Mike Aiello Jr. rounding out our field in 21st.
And real quickly, Trey Shuttlesworth, I do want to mention, we're just going to get right down to the obvious here. We do have one Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the field. We're so very honored that he came to us. He chose PitStop TV to broadcast this season of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. And it is thanks to him that we have some amazing partners on board as well. We don't have a whole lot to work off of, but we're going with Waffle House, First Verizon Bank, Whoppers, Zero Bar Candy Bar, Dr. Pepper, and 7-Up. And for what it would matter, it would be the local East Tennessee vendors of those, like Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, for example. And we thank them so much for allowing the SCAR, I have to change it up a little bit from SRCA, the SCAR, for bringing us on board through the help of Bobby Hamilton Jr. and supporting this league. They've got a lot of cool racing that goes on. We're only broadcasting the Cup Series right now. Maybe we can twist Bobby's arm to change that in the near future. But we're so glad to have Bobby out here. He is sporting the Whoppers colors, and that's actually a pretty sharp-looking paint scheme right there, rolling off in, oh gosh, I think it was, what, the 15th starting spot?
Hamilton's going to roll off tonight with a 13th starting position.
13th, but not so bad.
Yeah, no, not at all. We have 250 miles to go here tonight, so he's going to be in pretty good shape, I think.
Absolutely, and I kind of just took your spotlight there for a second, Mr. Shuttlesworth, but again, so glad to have Bobby working with us and just working with everybody over at the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. And again, they have other series going on throughout the week, so you just might be able to hit these guys up and join them. I believe Bobby actually just wrapped up a championship in their ARCA and Street Stock divisions. I could be wrong, but they have a lot of good racing going on. You should definitely check them out. Meanwhile, we are coming to the first green flag of the season. You see that big, hefty iRacing pace truck in front of the field, peeling off down to the inside, the safety of pit lane, and we are green. Scott Warren leads us to the green flag. Jeff Napier on his outside, and we're green for the third season of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series.
You can see Chris Mathis tucked in right behind. Looks like Napier's going to pull down. Now he's clear, takes that third spot away. Looks like we're single file mainly. Got about 4 cars on the outside line.
We head down the Daytona Super Stretch for the first time today. As you said, it looks like we are single file for the first 3 or 4 rows or so. Not much going on until we get about, say, 5-6 rows back, where we have about 3 or 4 cars on the outside line right now. We come out of turn 4 for the first time to the complete lap of 1 of 100 tonight here at the Daytona International Speedway.
Scott Warren leads lap 1. It's Chris Mathis in second place, who quickly took over from Jeff Napier in that bottom line. Definitely ruling the favorite so far. You see Cole Ansley looking to the inside of Napier there. That would be for third. Meanwhile, here comes Chris Mathis. I just said the bottom was friendly, and suddenly he makes the top look pretty darn good, and he goes, well, side drafts to the outside of the number 17 of Scott Warren. Again, he will be scored into the number 076 on your ticker right there. I forgot to pop that up earlier, but Chris Mathis with a power move there for a moment just didn't have the help he needed early, and that was Jeff Napier's patience waiting on the bottom line, and then he decides he wants to go and he wants to try his hand at the lead.
Did you see cars back there almost 3-4 wide right there for a second? You see he went up top. Looks like he's going to get hung out to dry there. The 17 or 076 Scott Warren looks like he's going to reclaim the lead there. We got a battle going on, still 3 wide further on in the back.
So yeah, we continue down the super stretch yet again at double file for about 5, 6, 7 rows. We have a couple attempts at 3 wide. Nothing suffices so far. But for the most part, we're seeing the same guys that started near the front of the field continuing to stay at the front of the field. The top 9 cars in the running order all started within the top 9. Cody Harger in 10th, starts in 11th. Very orderly so far, but we're all pretty compact here. Top 19 cars out of 20 on track within 1 second of the leader.
And we saw some three-wide action those last couple of laps. They're definitely starting to mix things up. At first, they were pretty patient, but immediately they decided they wanted to get to racing. And I think these guys should be good, should definitely be good, as long as they have a full fuel cell to the end of stage number 1 and subsequently to the end of stage number 2. But a caution would certainly just treat as insurance for these drivers currently as they navigate their way in the early goings here at Daytona. While they do so, let's talk about the weather we have for these drivers. Trey Shuttlesworth, you mentioned, not very warm. It might actually be Trey Patton. Either way, a Trey is a Trey. And it's not too warm here in Daytona, and it's not going to wear these tires too badly. Only 69 degrees in the air, which translates to 117 on the track. One car on the apron. It's the 86 of Ansley. He gathers it up, but the rest of the field ducks and dodges. Oh, and then they're going to wreck in the back.
There they go.
Truck's all up and over. It's only lap 5. The number 5 goes for a roll in race number 1, Trey Shuttlesworth, and this is not what you want to see to start off a season.
No, and I'm afraid an early wreck might set a precedent for more aggressive driving over the middle stages of this race. I look back to the Bluegrass iRacing series where we only saw one yellow, and that only yellow was around lap 15 or 20, but I'm afraid we get this lap 5 yellow, and we're not going to be able to settle into a rhythm. It's just sometimes the way these races kind of go, and we're going to go to the slow-mo from the blimp and see that this car on the apron, Colt Ainsley, correct? And as a result, we're seeing 3 wide near the rear end of the pack, having trouble identifying the cars. Of course, it's the first round of the championship.
So yeah, that was the 015 of Vincent Short that turned down a little bit and got into the 5 of Truxell and kicked off that chain reaction incident further back. We'll take some more looks at things here. So you're going to want to watch, I don't have a telestrator unfortunately, but the blue and black Chevrolet Camaro back end of the field here on the outside of the white and black number 5, and he's just going to go 3 wide at the same time. Everybody's checking up and avoiding Ansley, and he tried to move down, I think maybe behind the 5 of Truxell, and ends up instead hooking him, and it's on from there.
Yeah, I think he may have just tried to get behind him there. We're going to get another look at it here. You see Ansley's down on the apron, and then just looks like he just got hooked. Couldn't really see that much from that particular onboard.
So good to get a couple of additional looks at the replay there. Yet again, unfortunate to see an early yellow, and it's definitely something that could have been avoided. But it just naturally will happen sometimes when you have cars that have to, take adverse reactions. We saw Ainsley on the apron, and guys just reacted to the checkups as a result of that, and that'll put us under our first yellow tonight. So far, I don't think we see anyone coming down pit road, and of course, unlike, say, the Bluegrass iRacing series, where we have guys on 50% fuel loads, these guys are going to be able to go 35 laps or so on green flag running, whereas those guys had about 20 laps, so no need to necessarily pit every yellow here in this series for fuel.
We have, I think, 6 cars that did end up making pit stops, mostly just guys who were involved in that incident. We're going to kick that off with Colt Ansley in the number 86 car, who started a ways up there and was running for some early positions and was kind of the catalyst in all of that happening, him getting stuck on the apron and the car got away from him. Thankfully, he gathered it up. He did no damage to his car, I don't think, but he did come in. He grabbed, it looks like about 2 tires, maybe just fuel to ensure that he can go to the end of the stage, but I think everybody should be able to go just by saving here, Mr. Trey Patton. D'Angelo also came in for a similarly quick pit stop, and they have Andrew Cootie, Mark Truxell, who came in for, looks like full stops, and Truxell looks like has taken his fast repair, of course, after flipping. You want to keep racing. Hayes Booth possibly towing. Well, no, he's trying to get into his box, it looks like. He's rolling backwards. No, you know what? I think he's trying to stick it out. He does not want to use that fast repair this early, and I agree with him there, is that he was just trying to wait out those repairs. Vincent Short has also taken his fast repair. So already 2 drivers, 1 fast repair short compared to the rest of the field. So in a race where you only have that 1 mulligan, Mr. Trey Patton, definitely not how you want to go into the next 93 laps.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree with the move on the 2 machine there and trying to just fix up what we can and try to ride it out until, wait for a bigger wreck to happen, if that were to happen, but just kind of ride it out until it gets later on in the race, and maybe during a green flag pit stop if things are going your way, and just use that quick repair under a green flag run and get it back going.
The thing that really helps is just the current combination of horsepower and downforce that we have at the restrictor plate tracks. These guys have a lot of downforce and quite a bit of power, so if there is any damage to the car, there's a lot of area to compensate because it's very easy to get a tow and a slipstream and very quickly get up to the rear bumper of the car ahead of you. So yeah, just a nice thing about the Cup car.
So we're currently working lap number 8. We'll be coming to lap number 9 when these guys restart here momentarily. And already we saw how this race is going to go through a few dynamic changes. These guys were quickly just hurrying to the front, trying to get where they wanted to go, and then we had that caution halt their progress. The first lap, it seemed, was calm, but after that, once these guys got settled in and got drafts going, they were chomping at the bit. Now we have the 18 of the 17 front row. It's Chris Mathis on bottom, Nick Hurd up top. We are Green Flag Racing once more, now coming to lap number 9 of 100.
Yes, side by side for second. Haven't got that quite sorted out yet. Nick Hurd stuck on the top side. We see the 27 following in suit behind him. Looks like further on in the back we might have had a mix-up. I'm not sure if Hayes Booth went down to the apron to avoid any contact there, but we see side by side for the lead. Both 17 cars 3 wide for the lead.
Just a quick update of what happened on the restart. The 32 of John Barroquez, he's going to have a little bit of a checkup, and that causes a little bit of issues behind him. We're going to go back live, of course, going on board with Nick Hurd. He restarted on the outside line, trying that outside right now, and not having a lot of help right now. And honestly, at this point of the race, I wouldn't expect too much help. Very quickly, he is able to get back into the middle of the pack on that middle line, of course, with only 2 lanes. That is the outside line at this moment. Although he's not giving up, still peeking to the outside and seeing if he might be able to get some help.
Yeah, 3 wide is not going to work on lap 10 of 100, and for good reason. So I think that was a move just to fall further back. I don't think he really liked being up front on that front row. Chris Mathis now leads down the back straightaway, down into turn number 3. He's got company from behind, and actually that's helping him, obviously. Chris Johnson in the monster, number 78, a little bit squirrely through the corner as well. He's got Scott Warren to his outside. So these guys dancing around a little bit. Looks like they're trying to obviously get settled in and get themselves worked out. But I'm noticing the 78 especially is looking a bit squirrely, a little bit dodgy, and he's almost doing like Cole Ansley did to start that wreck off into turn 1 the last time, where he got down onto the apron in the tri-oval. You've got to be so careful. It's so much easier to do in the tri-oval than in the corners because it's a lower angle, a lower bank, but it can really prove to be detrimental to your race and everybody else around you, as Scott Warren noses ahead down the Daytona Superstretch with help from Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Yeah, Bobby Hamilton taking a surge from the 13th spot up into the 4th spot now. Reiterating here, watching these guys on the bottom line. So we're actually on board with Bobby Hamilton right now, looking at the back end of, I believe that is Scott Warren. Looks like Andrew Cootie takes the fastest lap of the race. This is a really good onboard because it gives you a really good perception of what to expect if you're not used to driving these cars, and what to see, how close these guys are to each other, what to see, like you see here, the side draft, how close they're getting to each other.
Not just that, Trey Patton, but we kind of get an idea as to why these drivers need transparent spoilers on these NASCAR Cup Series cars. I believe they're about 9 or 10 inches tall here at the super speedways. Of course, you can't refer to them as restrictor plate tracks anymore. They have a larger tapered spacer than back in the day. We have about 600 horsepower compared to 550. But again, you see about half of the spoiler very clearly just because of how tall it is.
And we were on board with it there. That was Chris Johnson hooking the apron, just like I said he might in the number 78 that time. And we'll try and get a replay. And there it is. He's all alone. Just catches that apron just like Cole Ansley did. You have to be so careful of it, Trey Patton, because that could trigger a massive, massive accident. Meanwhile, off at a turn 3, it's Bobby Hamilton Jr. side by side with Scott Warren down to the bottom side. And Hamilton Jr. had the lead for a moment.
Yeah, looking at that, I didn't know if he actually may have gotten a bump there, because you can upset the car quite often here in the tri-oval especially. It doesn't take much to get that car around in the tri-oval, especially riding that line. But I thought it was actually going to happen there again with the 17, but looks like he got that squared away. Outside line looks to be dropping a little bit. I expect to see maybe Bobby Hamilton drop down to the inside, but it doesn't look like he's going to do that.
We continue to play around here with the perspectives here. Now you're on board with Scott Warren, who continues to lead here at the Daytona International Speedway. But just to reiterate your point at this point, Trey Patton, not seeing a lot of momentum in the outside line right now. Just as I say that, here comes Chris Mathis to the outside, and he's going to have the assistance of Bobby Hamilton Jr., and they're going to be dead even across the stripe. Still a Scott Warren-led lap as we head down into turn 1 yet again.
And Bobby looked to that third lane, but it's still a bit early to get it going. Nick Hurd helping the imposter, number 17 almost. The two 17s nose to tail on the bottom side. They'll take the lead and almost clear themselves. They will clear themselves. How about Nick Hurd for a pusher? If you need somebody to push you to a win, call him up. He might be your guy. Meanwhile, Bobby Hamilton Jr. with help from the 27 of Fred Straywich. And it looks like, who is that behind him? That is the number 46 car of David Bradford. They've got that top line humming. Every once in a while, they get a big surge up there. I think with one or two more cars, they might have something pretty good.
As you see coming to the line here, not quite edging them out yet. We got a car on the apron that looked like the 66, Corey Harger. But they kept that going. They're the outside line, getting another surge here out of turn 2. But the quicker line running that bottom, as you see Nick Hurd just gets a good run. The bottom line actually didn't really get a good run out of the corner there, just out of my perspective. They're going to be side by side going into 3.
You really could not be asking for much more out of a restrictor plate race here right now. Side by side, both rows have a lot of help, a lot of momentum, and there isn't a lot of give and take right now. Just a little terrified to see if we're going to be able to make it probably to another pit stop at this point in time. Actually, I need to correct myself here because these guys have been doing a very good job of being very orderly. It's just a matter of we're now getting into some lap traffic here. We have Hayes Booth that the leaders are coming up on right now. Just have to be very careful. Fortunately, at this point in time, we are double wide and not 3 wide.
There you see that slow number 2 of Hayes Booth. Looks like he will get out of the way for these drivers. Leading the charge now on lap number 17. It's fitting that the 17s are still leading one car down. Oh, there they go. Big crash.
3 wide.
And that was the 66 of Cody Harger who started that. Or, well, was the start of that. And, we've got a big one.
Yeah, they were 3 wide going into 3, and then I don't know if somebody actually got a little additional contact between Fred Straywich and looks like the 015 Vincent Short a little after that. Not sure if that was an intentional contact, but 3 wide going into 3 with a lap car on the bottom is definitely not the move.
So that'll be our second yellow of the day, and now we're going to get a bit of a perspective to see what caused that incident. We go to the blimp, and surely enough, it's another case of 3 wide, and then cars very simply coming together, having a little trouble dictating space, and that'll be our second yellow of the afternoon.
Yeah, this all kind of starts when the number 46, that is David Bradford that I just mentioned, he starts to make it 3 wide. So we're going to ride to this incident with him to see how this all happens for David Bradford, because through 1 and 2, he gets a big run, and he's going to stick his car in between the 27 and the 66 here. He almost does it there, actually, in turn 1. The 66, Cody Harger, the 27, the other catalyst in this, Fred Straywich. And so he's going to get a big run down the backstretch, and right there he goes. He makes it 3 wide in a hole that's barely open. And then these drivers are actually going to come together. I'll see if I can find a better angle. Here we go. This might show it. You're watching those 3 wide cars. They start bouncing around. That pushes the 66 onto the apron. That's what caught my attention. One car way down there, and that 27 just turns left. And I don't know. I don't know at that point, because his spotter may have said 2 wide, and so he thought they would have been only just top bottom, and he could have moved down a little bit. I really, it's so hard to say what happened right there, but he simply turns left.
Yeah, he definitely came down the track a little bit there. And then that's pushed him on the apron, and then just more contact, and that just led into the carnage that we are seeing right now. Unfortunate, it's still early on in this race. I'd figured we'd see a little more of conservative racing going on, but aggression is aggression, and at a track like this, it's always going to happen.
As we continue to get perspectives, just to back up your point, Trey Patton, it is a bit early, and despite the fact that we have a faster pair, we're seeing guys having to go to it so early that we're not getting to the point of the race where where aggressive driving is necessary. At this point, I honestly just think you need to stay with the lead pack, and that's all you need to stay in contention. But we're just seeing a lot of casualties within the first fifth of the race so far.
And there's the extra contact where Strange was trying to get up to speed and actually got a little bit loose on that boundary between the racetrack and the apron. Speaking of strategy, Mr. Trey Shuttlesworth, you're usually the guy that we dump to for strategy. We have some pit stops under this one, and that's going to change things up. It's almost getting them to a serviceable window to use this stage break to also get to the end of stage number 2 without pitting again. I think it's maybe just a hair too early, but it's certainly getting close. We have some, as I mentioned, pit stops under this yellow. We're going to start off with Chris Mathis in the number 18. He will cycle out into 10th place. Cole Ansley joined him on the pit lane this time by. Will Hewitt as well. We have Thomas McMullen heading down, Cody Harger, and more. So several cars coming down, and actually 2 now have come in twice. David Bradford twice for repairs, and we have, where'd he go? It was Cole Ansley, who also had come down twice, I believe. I got to find him. Here we go, Cole Ansley, the number 86. I'm wondering if he's taken tires yet. If not, it's kind of interesting that he decided to come down twice.
I like what you said a little bit early on there about the fact that this might get you to the end of stage 2. Traditionally at Daytona with, restrictor plate racing, pack racing, rather, if you would, I want to say you get about 35 laps of green flag running, and we're probably going to have at maximum about 35 laps of green flag running between laps 20 and 60, because we will have that stage break at lap 30, and from there we could have, maybe a few yellows, so it might be enough to stretch it to the end of stage 2 without having to pit one more time between here and there.
We did just have a motor expiration on the number 015 of Vincent Short. So after a couple of big incidents, looks like his night may be done. We'll see if he gets back on the racetrack at all this evening. We're working lap number 20, coming to lap 21 once we restart. Now we have the 17s 2 abreast on the front row. One down to the bottom side, that's Scott Warren, the imposter. Meanwhile, Nick Hurd is outside. Once we restart, we are back green flag racing, in fact, and we get right back to it here at Daytona.
Yeah, pretty good start from Scott Warren there. They're going to be side by side going into 1. You see Bobby Hamilton Jr. Repping that Whoppers number 25, sitting in 3rd place right now. Jeff Napier in 4th. Bottom line gets a very good surge. It looks like they're going to have a good surge off the corner here. And, I mean, honestly, that's kind of what I expect on a restart, being on the bottom line.
Yeah, very orderly, very processional so far as we head into turn 3 here. It's going to continue to be Scott Warren in the Imposter 17, actually registering in our system as 076, as Andrew pointed out. And ducking on a line, it's going to be Bobby Hamilton Jr. You had to start to think, is he looking to go for that stage win already? We still have about 9 laps as we cross the line this time, but I think he likes the opportunity to attack on the outside, and he's going to have a lot of help from Nick Hurd.
Nick Hurd came to his aid right there and pushed him out to the race lead. Bobby Hamilton Jr. taking over at Daytona International Speedway on lap number 22 of 100. And he's going to play Pied Piper down the back stretch. Nick Hurd up top. It's Scott Warren pushing him on the bottom side and definitely giving him help and trying to clear him from the rest of the field. Meanwhile, Nick Hurd has aid from Justin Napier, and Jeff Napier has rejoined this battle up here. So the two Napiers side by side right now out of turn number 4.
And there we go. Scott Warren going to peek to the outside there, try to reclaim his lead. As we see, it's going to be side by side at the line. Looks like Scott Warren actually claimed that lap.
We head into turn 1 here on lap 23 this time, and it continues to be Bobby Hamilton Jr. Sure, Warren does get the lap led, but right now he has a lot of help behind him. This time in the form of Jeffrey Napier in the 40 machine. Nick Hurd continuing to remain relevant. I don't think he's really left the top 2 rows today so far, and he's doing a very effective job in that Ryan Blaney paint scheme as we head into turn 4.
Still side by side all the way through. It's Warren up top, Hamilton on bottom, and Bobby has made some really good moves, but he's just not quite as good. For some reason, his car can't stay out front leading right now. The number 40, Jeff Napier, got the apron. He loses some time, so now we have the 217s. They've reset themselves, actually, as they were on the restart first on each line. So we have Warren back on the bottom side, Hurd up top, Hamilton now helping Warren, trying to get him out there, and here comes Napier to help him. Meanwhile, the other Napier is up top helping Nick Hurd on the top side.
Yeah, definitely a Napier fest up here. Seeing both of them up front, this is pretty cool. Both 17s up front. Bobby's going to give him a really good push coming out of 4. Looks like Bobby's not going to get much out of that. We're on board with the 54 of Justin Napier. You see that bottom line have a really good surge. It looks like they're going to clear the outside line there, but I would not expect Bobby to go up top. I could be wrong, and I'm absolutely wrong. He's going to go up and try to claim that top spot.
Hamilton is proving from the get-go that he's going out there and he's going to go and try to dominate out here today, and it's going to leave the inside line absolutely hung out to dry. Jeff Napier was not really ready to be able to give the 17, or rather the 076 of Scott Warren a run, and just like that, Bobby Hamilton Jr. to the point, but now he's going to have no assistance, and now Nick Hurd has help from the other Napier as we head to complete lap 25, 5 laps to go on the stage.
Suddenly the whole field splits up suddenly, and Nick Hurd will go to the point. I dropped my phone, don't mind me. Justin Napier going to take the point on the top side. Hamilton all kinds of sideways into turn 1. He hangs on to the car for now. Scott Warren pushing him. Jeff Napier back in line on the bottom side. He's 4th in line down there in the number 40. And here comes Mark Truxell. Despite being in a couple of big incidents already, or at least up and over onto his lid, is suddenly in this lead pack going for some stage points again. Stage points only go to the top 5, so you can't just get into the top 10 to be safe. You've got to get up into those top handful of positions. Nick Hurd leads this time down to the tri-oval to complete lap number 26. We have 4 laps to go.
Yeah, you were talking about Bobby Hamilton getting a little sideways. Speaking of sideways, looks like Jeff Napier just goes through the infield grass there. Almost snagged somebody. Not quite sure who that was. He gets a little sideways trying to rejoin back onto the track. We are still green.
Thoroughly impressive save for Jeff Napier. No French pronunciation on that one. Back to the front of the field, though, and it is yet again the tell of the day. Bobby Hamilton Jr., Nick Hurd. I think we're going to be talking about these guys a lot, not just today, but throughout most of the series. And now it's going to be the inside line yet again, controlling. But I think Hamilton is probably going to have a run as we get down the back straightaway and probably have a chance to overtake yet again.
Here comes Chris Mathis back into the fray, and he gets up to 3rd spot. Scott Warren goes up high. We have 3 laps to go in stage number 1. There's the number 9. It's a lapped car up on the wall. Who was that? I believe that may have been Andrew Cootie. It was. So he's pictured as the 9, scored as the 33. Meanwhile, they still go at it for the race lead. The 17's still leading, but they have now swapped inside and top. And Chris Mathis actually hooks Nick Hurd at the racetrack a tiny bit. I'm glad they hung on to things because you saw Bobby Hamilton react, and he thought he was going to get hit. Hooks him again, and he gets a bit squirrely, and yep, there goes Bobby to the top side. He wants no piece of that.
Yeah, that was really sketchy. I thought he was about to get hooked there, and Bobby had the right reaction there because I probably would have done the exact same thing. But needless to say, we're still green. 2 laps to go left in the stage.
Despite that bobble from Hamilton Jr., he was still able to remain the second car on the outside line, so a very impressive job there, and bumpers are almost locked between him and Warren down the back straightaway, and I think Warren might have a chance to duck down into the inside line if he wants it. He looked into the entry of turn 3. I think they're both clear. Oh no, it's just going to be Warren, and it's going to be Hamilton now in control on the outside line. Oh, and he's in the wall.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. hard in the wall at turn 3. They're going to wreck. There goes the 7, the 66, and the 78. One car, that was Nick Hurd in the inside wall. They're racing to the end of stage number 1. Now we have 1 lap to go inside stage number 1. Chris Mathis takes over the lead. We'll recap all of this once we can. We're still racing to the end of lap number 30. Somehow no yellow in all of that, and we've shed most of the field here to wrap up the stage. Only one of these drivers left in this group will go home without stage 1 points. They are racing like it is for the win. Chris Mathis ducks high, he ducks low, he's playing Pied Piper to win stage number 1. He's got now Scott Warren up behind him. Here comes Justin Napier with help from Colt Ansley. We've talked about him a lot as well. Not so much positive this time. It is positive. Warren goes up high. He wants to make a move on Mathis. It's not going to work. It's going to be a drag race to the line, and Chris Mathis wins stage number 1.
All right, man. Caution is out.
Oh, that was a good battle right there. I thought the 3 was going to get up into the mix of that little 3 wide battle for the lead there. Glad there was no wrecking for that, because that had me on the edge of my seat. And if that's what we can expect for the rest of this race for this next stage, and even for the finish, this is going to be amazing.
Could not have said it better myself. Miraculously, the thing that was most impressive about that series of events coming to take the white flag for stage 1 is the fact that Nick Hurd, it looked like he was going to be meeting the inside safer barrier, yet he does not. He safes the car. It is completely in one piece, and now we're going to get a bit of a replay of that series of events here, currently tracking with Hamilton Jr. on the outside line. We're going to see he gave a very impressive push to the 17 of Scott Warren, 076. We'll get there eventually, heading into 3, and it looks like the issue it looked like there might have been a little bit of a netcode issue between him and Hurd, puts him into the outside wall, collecting a few others. A couple cars are going to have to probably go to that fast repair. Hamilton's going to get away scot-free without too much damage. Actually, he might have to go for some optional repairs. Miraculously, as we said, Nick Hurd avoids contact. We'll probably get a better look here of what happened to Hurd.
That we will. So this was a lot to digest coming to the white flag of stage number 1. He tucks in behind Scott Warren right here, gives him a shot, and then he goes up top. I wonder if he gets hooked right here. Yeah. Oh, he gets doored, actually. So we'll go back to the onboard for that because it was Scott Warren coming back down the racetrack that's going to do that. Went too far back. Don't mind me. But we'll get back to it here momentarily because they're racing it out. They're duking things out. They're trying to find, do I want to go high? Do I want to go low? Where's the run going to come from? They don't have TJ Majors in their area to figure that out for them. So they've really got to do a lot of thinking on the fly. And Scott Warren, he goes up top to match Nick Hurd here out of 4, and he cuts back low, and Scott just goes low with him. And unfortunately, the bumpers were overlapping. They made contact. Thankfully, though, Nick Hurd saves it, does not hit anything, and now he's coming in for his service to end stage number 1. I believe the top 5 were as they came in. I'm going to check on that real quick, and I'll let you guys take pit stops.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked that he was able to wheel that thing to not hit the inside wall. Looks like going through pit stops, looks like Chris Mathis is going to be the first one off of pit road. He was in pit road for 26.2 seconds. So obviously 4 tires and fuel. Looks like following out behind him was Bobby Hamilton Jr.
It looks like Hamilton's actually going to be the first car to come out of pit road. Behind him, Mathis will follow, then D'Angelo. He has a little bit of damage in the rear. Scott Warren fourth off of the line, and then Colt Ainsley in fifth. Although I believe we might have had a few guys on the lead lap who did stay out. Just going to have to look. Nope, all cars are lap cars ahead of Bobby Hamilton Jr. So these guys will get the wave around, and then they'll be back in contention. Except for Andrew Cootie, he will only be 2 laps down.
So I've got the replay of lap 30 pulled up on my end, and it is a photo finish for third in the stage. Chris Mathis does win the stage, as I mentioned. Then it's Scott Warren in second place, and it is so close for third spot. Our timing and scoring had Justin Napier ahead of Tommy D'Angelo for third place. Cole Ansley is our fifth place finisher. He gets that final stage point. So those top 5 each get a few points apiece. It's 5 to Mathis, 4 to Warren, 3 to Napier, 2 to D'Angelo, and 1 to Mr. Cole Ansley. We'll go ahead and, let's take a look. I know these drivers were planning. We have a ton of drivers we can talk to. Are we coming to green this time? It's tough to say.
I do not.
We are. Pace truck lights are off. So we will get them on the next yellow. We will get our stage winner on the next yellow. There was so much to digest right there that we'll have to hold off on getting Mr. Chris Mathis until our next caution flag. But man, what a way to wrap up the first stage, and technically the first checkered flag, although green and white checkered as opposed to black and white checkered. So, I mean, gosh. Well, we have 2 more finishes like that to look forward to this evening, let alone everything else the rest of the season.
Yeah, that was definitely something I enjoyed watching. That had me on the edge of my seat, and I hope we can see a lot more of that. Hopefully we can get some more, I guess, conservative racing. Maybe not see as much wrecking and maybe aggressiveness. Maybe get the early race jitters out and get into a rhythm. But just because less aggressive does not mean that you can't produce good racing for that by any means.
I think these guys prove that aggressive is fun, but there needs to be some semblance of control. Otherwise, you're going to collect a lot of cars and damage. I mean, right now, we're about a third of the way through the race, 16 cars on the lead lap, about 4 cars that are currently not on the lead lap. So we're seeing some casualties already. These guys are going to take the green flag, recome to the line. David Bradford, he's going to lead the field to the green. He actually pit right before the stage break. Trey Patton made me aware of that. Good strategy call, and that's going to put him out front at the start of stage 2.
So 7 total pit stops have put him in the lead coming to the stage 2 beginning, but Chris Mathis immediately takes that lead back, and I think the damage on the 46, however slight it may be, is holding him back a little bit or something. Maybe he just didn't have the right push from D'Angelo, but Chris Mathis takes the lead big time with help from Scott Warren. They've been here before. Now Warren dips down to the bottom side just in front of David Bradford, and it looks like he's shaped up something or other to take the lead, and he does, and he's going to lead us to the completion of lap number 35. I don't know what I was trying to say right there, but nothing was working.
Yeah, but it looks like the 46 of David Bradford's doing pretty good now that he had someone in front of him just to get him back up and going. And here we see Chris Mathis on the back bumper of the 46 going to make a pass for the lead.
It was just an amazing call by David Bradford. We see it doesn't always become evident when you're watching a race, but track position is so key at these super speedway races. It seems like if you can maintain yourself within the first couple of rows of racing action, you have a shot at staying, in contention for the lead. It seems really tough to break into those first couple of rows where you either get to be someone that's pushing the leading car in your row, or you're the guy being pushed in the leading car. Otherwise, you're just kind of riding around looking for some breaks, maybe looking for a little bit of chaos to get you a position near the front. But otherwise, it's just kind of waiting for wrecks to happen and to avoid them. It's tough to make up spots in these kinds of races.
That it is. I mean, if you're in the pack, it's easy to try and make moves, and moves don't always translate into positions. I think that's the big thing that needs to be mentioned there. Just because you're trying to make some big moves and go somewhere doesn't mean you will. You have to really work the draft. And if you are taking the Dale Earnhardt Jr. strategy of really just working for yourself, it's going to be tough to get anybody else to work with you. If you have somebody, drafting partner, so especially when we had two-car tangos for a little while in NASCAR, you could certainly, I think, make better work of the pack. But if you're just on your own, it is so tough to actually go places. Meanwhile, Scott Warren leading David Bradford in second place, Chris Mathis in third. Here comes Tommy D'Angelo. He wants to move up into third, and he's going to do so at least through turn number 2.
Yeah, just to reiterate, like, working through the pack, how you mentioned Dale, like, teammates, they play a factor when you come in here, but it's more so finding someone that suits your driving style, that kind of drives it the same way. So, like, when I come to think of that, like, I think how Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. always teamed up on this. Obviously, they weren't teammates, but they had the same perception of how it should be raced. And I feel like these guys are trying to figure out who they need to work with and how that's going to be working out. And I think we're starting to see that play a factor now.
No, definitely. And no, it's been a relatively tame start to this stage so far. Kind of reflected what you said near the start of the stage, Trey, where we do need to kind of get into a rhythm. At this point in time, let's get a couple of laps and, start to clock away some of these laps. And, definitely race for those few stage points near the back end of this stage, but we have enough fuel to get there. Just hang with the pack and see if you can get a break near the end of it. We have about 23 laps left of racing as we come to the complete lap 30. Oh, sorry, my timing and scoring is not correct. We're going to come to complete lap 39. That's going to put us at 21 laps to go here in the stage.
You guys are preaching patience, and I see these guys getting really squirrely again. I'm not sure what it is this evening, but these guys all over the place. The back end's not staying planted. Here we go. Tommy D'Angelo sideways in front of the field. Do they save it? Oh, my gosh. They just might somehow. I think we might have a couple of cars tangling. No. They all kept it straight. I'm blown away. Amazing driving.
Amazing. Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Chris Mathis is doing a heck of a job pushing. I'm not quite sure what happened with D'Angelo there. He may have just clipped the apron, maybe got a bad bump. But amazing job by everybody there keeping that going, because that could have been catastrophic.
We continue to say these words just like amazing, miraculous, remarkable, and I think we're going to continue to say today, despite the fact that we've had a couple of wrecks that caused yellows, these guys have also been doing an excellent job of avoiding accidents. Right now, a little bit aggressive there for the second position, but it looks like we have 5 cars currently ahead of this pack, but we have a couple of guys in tow of this main slipstream. It's going to be Chris Mathis continuing to lead with David Bradford. We talked about his good strategy call to put him near the front of the pack. He's leading the outside line right now, and we currently ride on board with the third car in line on the outside line. That, of course, being, I believe, Scott Warren, and he's been doing a great job, did an excellent job in that first stage, and he's going to continue to do so today.
That pack blew up into chunks right there, and then they suddenly came right back together, and we have, I think, I will say, 10 cars battling up here. So the top 10 grouped right back together, and we have more coming along, so it should be 13 here by the end of lap number 42. This race is going to be one for the highlight reels, that's for sure. David Bradford does lead off into turn number 3. He brings one Thomas McMullen, and I was thinking to myself, right as they messed up into whatever that was down the backstretch a couple of times ago, that we want to try and go through the field a little bit. Once they calm down a little bit again, I do want to try and look through some of the field, but this racing has just been so good. We've been on the edge of our seat the entire evening long that we can't go away from it. This is amazing stuff. They've sustained this kind of racing with only a couple of issues, only a couple of wrecks, for now 43 laps.
Yeah, they're doing a heck of a job. Speaking of going through the field, the contact in the back 17 looks, yep, there they go. 3 cars in the grass. Looks like we're still green, no yellow yet. That looks like
Scott Warren.
Scott Warren, and someone needs to tell him that we're not IMSA racing. That's not part of the racetrack right now. Tommy D'Angelo went with him. Let's get the replay.
Looks like he comes down to the inside line, and very simply, caused contact, and around goes Scott Warren collecting a couple others. We do have a full course yellow on the racetrack. Didn't catch the incident. It was an admin thrown yellow.
So that's to compensate for that. And you know what? I'm going to be hard on Scott Warren right here because this is the second such incident where he just moves down the racetrack and takes somebody with him. The first time was Nick Hurd, and thankfully everybody got through that fine. But this time he takes Tommy D'Angelo, and I think Scott knew that was on him. He did escape immediately and tow back to the pit lane. But, I mean, this is... Oh, that could have been so much worse. Thankfully, it wasn't. It only takes a couple of cars. But, man, that was not D'Angelo, was that? That's the number 32. Well, no, that was D'Angelo that was spun. It was definitely number 3, was it not? I'm going insane up here. It's been a day. Yeah, he does take D'Angelo. He did door slam, though, the number 66 of, I'm getting back to the program here, Cody Harger. So some damage done to the number 66. We'll have to see how he does after that. But man, it's just unfortunate. Obviously, nothing that Warren's doing intentionally. He's just trying to move around, and he wants to better his chances to win the race, obviously. But unfortunately, now it's the second time it's happened the exact same way.
Yeah, and that just comes to the thing of knowing perception of how wide the car is, where the people around you are, and just knowing what move to make. I mean, especially on a track like this, there's not a lot of time to make a move. Any little minute movement can result into what we just saw.
Yeah, these Cup cars also can be very unpredictable in some of the ways in which they handle. Despite the fact that these guys have some of the most downforce we've ever seen Cup Series cars have at super speedways, it's just there's certain places in which the cars can be incredibly unpredictable in terms of how you handle. And that, in some ways, that's kind of an effect of having additional downforce. It can make cars very twitchy and make it very difficult to save a car in certain circumstances.
Right, yeah, the car actually has grips. When you make those movements with the wheel, the front end actually wants to take off instead of being pushing. If you think to the 1987 cars that we have on iRacing now, obviously with a lot less downforce devices, with a lot less downforce in general, and just being lazier cars, even the downforce neglected. I mean, it's really tough. They're squirrely in the back end, where these cars seem to be really moving around in the nose because they have all the downforce on the front end, and of course the rest of the car. So they move around a lot more because they actually have downforce. The old cars moved around a lot more because they didn't, and everybody was hanging on for dear life. So definitely a lot of contrast between old and new, and it's just a different animal. Sometimes these drivers are switching between disciplines a lot. So they're, for example, they could be actually going from an 87 race into this race. They could go run, I don't know, dirt late models in a little while, and just trying to keep all of that organized in your head sometimes is a whole lot to deal with. Of course, the NASCAR Cup guys, while they do sometimes dip into other series, Tony Stewart was a great example when he still raced. They don't do it nearly as often as these guys do, constantly racing something different every single day.
Yeah, definitely getting a handle on things, just switching disciplines can definitely be a handful. I mean, especially, I think we're going to try and get our Stage 1 winner in for an interview here, if we can get him in here. Trying to find our Stage 1 winner now. Meanwhile, looks like David Bradford, after that strategy, still seems to be up front. Chris Mathis. And we have Chris Mathis, our Stage 1 winner, and we're going to throw it to Trey Shuttlesworth.
Chris Mathis, do you have a copy?
Oh, I got you, man.
All right, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you guys aboard in this new series here on PitStop TV. Yeah, just what happened there for you on that chaotic last couple of laps there in Stage 1 to get you the win?
Man, I seen two cars get into it coming through the trial. Well, that kind of broke them up, and I guess the seas parted, and I was able to get up there and kind of hold off for that stage.
Okay, fair enough. That'll get you the stage win. So we're gonna have like 13 laps to go here in Stage 2. What's your strategy? Just go pushing all out. Not sure if you have that fast up there yet or not.
Oh yeah, I haven't touched a fast repair, but I mean my goal is to at least stay in the top 2, and try to right here at this stage, and help David if I can.
All right, you're doing a good job so far. We'll see if you can get it done here in stage 2. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Appreciate it, guys.
That was Chris Mathis. He won stage 1. He's going to restart in second place here as we come to lap 48.
A bit of a quick interview, but an interview nonetheless, and always thankful to get to talk to these drivers during and after these races, get their sides of things. Certainly adds an element to the race, and I mean that's just that's something that's I think in effect in real life, of course, as well, where you get to talk to drivers during the race. You don't get to talk to football players mid-game. It's certainly a big difference there, though. David Bradford will lead us to the green flag. Chris Mathis to his outside. We're coming to lap number 48 of 100. Nearing halfway, we're back green flag in stage number 2.
As we see here, we're going to be side by side. Seeing another car looking through the field. We have Colt Ainsley back into the 4th spot after that little mix-up he had earlier on in the race, trying to push Chris Mathis all the way up back to the lead.
We come down the Daytona super stretch here with about 13 laps left of racing here in stage 2, and it's going to continue to be Bradford and Mathis continuing to lead their respective lines. Not too much change from the start of this restart, rather. And the outside is going to struggle a little bit, but I think that just means they're going to have a lot of momentum as we come out of turn 4, as we ride on board with Jeff Napier.
They're mixing things up. Here comes the number 40. He's going to help Chris Mathis on that top side, and he is going to lend a hand. The red dot, number 40 Toyota Camry. One of the few Toyotas in here. I don't see many. He might be the only one, I think, actually. Certainly, the Toyota camp, not too big here in the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series right now. Maybe that'll change here shortly, but most of the field getting pretty single filed out. One spinning, is that the 23? Sorry, the 32. I knew the 2 numbers, just got them in reverse order. So the 32 of Jean, we're going to say John B for right now. He goes spinning down to the apron of the Daytona Super Stretch, and they stay at it up front.
Yeah, John Borquez definitely went for a spin there, but nonetheless, we're still green. David Bradford, and it looks like Jeff Napier is also trying to make this thing 3 wide. Chris Mathis also up in the mix here. 3 wide for the lead. Actually, that's for second. Looks like Jeff Napier's going to have the lead for the moment, but coming out of turn 2, they're going to be 3 wide for the lead again.
Surprisingly, Mathis doesn't have a lot of help, and that's just going to make it a 3-wide drag race down the back straightaway. 2 rows deep, very early for this to happen. We're going to come around to the start straightaway, and we're only going to be halfway, 125 miles complete, but it's going to be Chris Mathis. He finally gets the help he is looking for as he comes out of turn 4. Not able to clear quite yet on David Bradford as we come out of turn 4, but Bradford does not have a lot of help. Give the lead at the completion of lap 50 to Chris Mathis.
Cross flags in the air. Half of the race down, half of the race to go, and we now have, well, it's crunch time realistically here at Daytona. 1 car in the wall. Napier saves it, I think, and we keep racing. Napier caught the wall there in turn number 2. Thankfully, things stay okay. I think we've had a lot happen suddenly over the course of the last 20 laps or so since we got back green flag racing after stage number 1. We spoke to Chris Mathis, our stage 1 winner, not so long ago. Let's quickly take a little halfway break. Let's reset for everybody who may just be joining us. It's been a tumultuous race thus far. We've had some cautions, we've had some cars go up and over, but this is a look at our front runners thus far. Chris Mathis leads. He won stage number 1. Alan DeFries in the number 71 is suddenly up here. Where did he come from here at halfway? Nick Hurd is there with him in 3rd. This might change as David Bradford noses ahead for 3rd, but now he does not. It's Justin Napier in 5th, and they're trying to wreck. I see Bradford saving. There's the rest of the top 10. We'll come back to what's happening here because that was a handful.
Yeah, a handful indeed. You see Justin Napier, excuse me, riding on the tail end of this front pack as the pack behind them starting to catch back up. So we see Alan DeFries running right behind Chris Mathis. You see Nick Hurd all lonesome on the outside line there. Looks like he might be able to have a hole to drop down. Looks like he's not. Justin Napier takes that. Looks like Jeff Napier's getting back into the mix. There's Nick Hurd, drops back down.
Just 20 laps ago, we saw Nick Hurd spinning down towards the inside wall outside of turn 4. He kept it out of the inside wall, and right yet again, he's back up to the lead pack, currently sitting in P5, and I think he's going to have a good shot at the stage win here. Chris Mathis continuing to dominate here, and he has pretty good assistance from Alan DeVries. And I mean, the outside line is starting to get a little bit collected and formed together, and it's going to be the Jeff Napier brother leading things to the line for the outside.
So Chris Mathis still leads the Whataburger number 02 of Thomas McMullen, suddenly in things as well. So we have some newcomers up here, but for the most part, everything looking about like it did in stage number 1, mostly. But then again, we had the 71 of DeVries, the 02 of McMullen. Heck, even guys like Harker weren't up here at the end of stage number 1. Bradford has recovered. He is in 10th spot, so he's still kind of with these guys. He's hanging on there at the back. But as was mentioned in stage number 1, you have to get into the top 5 for points. You get 5 for winning, 4 for second, 3 for third. I can figure things out. 2 for fourth, and 1 for fifth. You cannot get a point for finishing 6th through 10th. Jeff Napier sideways a little bit in the tri-oval. They get it figured out. There goes McMullen to the top side.
Yeah, getting a little slideways there in the tri-oval. Thankfully, everything's back going good here. We see McMullen go to the top side, try to see what he can get up there. Looks like we have Justin Napier following in suit behind him, along with Jeff Napier. DeVries still following in suit behind Chris Mathis, and the outside line looks like we're going to get a little bit of surge, and Napier gets a little sideways there going into 3.
So as we come out of turn 4, it's going to be Thomas McMullen continuing to lead on the outside line, and he's going to have help from Justin Napier right now, but it's going to be pretty consistent. Oh, and around goes DeVries. He's into the inside grass. He might get a penalty from race control, just iRacing race control for hitting that commitment cone. It might be an improper pit entry penalty. We'll have to see. Want to save, but unfortunately he might get penalized by iRacing.
That might be an improper, an unsafe entry and exit for clipping that pit cone. We'll see what they do. Of course, race control can step in as well. The human race control can step in and clear that for him. We'll see what they do. Meanwhile, side by side for the race lead, McMullen top side, Mathis on bottom. He has help from Hurd. He's going to bring Ainsley on the bottom side, and Bradford suddenly back into the vying area, if you will, for the top 5. He's 6th. Going for 5th on the bottom side of Napier, and he'll get it at the start-finish line. McMullen drops into 4th, now looking like he might drop into 5th if the bottom keeps moving forward. Suddenly, Mark Trexel's back into things as well. He moves up into 7th spot there on the bottom side. Nick Hurd falls into 2nd, now 3rd. He's leading the top side charge, but it's not much of a charge now as Mathis blocks down the backstretch. 3 wide, he gave up the bottom side, and Colt Ainsley said, well, I'll take it.
And just like that, David Bradford is now up into 2nd. Nick Hurd almost tags the outside wall, going to be hung out to dry to go to the back of the pack here. And just like that, Colt Ainsley and David Bradford are going to be leading this pack.
So 3 wide, not at the moment. Nick Hurd cannot get any assistance, but yet again, it's going to be Chris Mathis in contention here. He's going to be pushing David Bradford. Bradford's going to be clear onto the entry turn 1. He will take advantage of it and move to the inside line. Current leader at Daytona, David Bradford, but yet again, Chris Mathis continuing to stay in contention. He leads the outside line as Bradford comes up to block.
That top side gets amazing runs, but it's a matter of matching it on the bottom and not giving up any positions. No matter what's working for you, you can't give it up. And that's what Chris Mathis did. That's why he's 2nd place, pushing David Bradford, trying to figure out what to do next. We're coming to 2 to go in stage number 2. There is the wounded John B. in the number 32 Monster Chevrolet Camaro. He lets these guys go on by, and 2 cars, a 2-car tango, separate themselves by a couple of car lengths from the rest of the field with 2 to go in stage number 2.
Yeah, this outside line being led by McMullen's getting quite a surge down the front stretch going into 2. Now coming out of 2, they're going to get another surge, but I don't think they're going to have quite enough to get there, not to clear them, but they're definitely going to be side by side.
We come into turn 3 past the bus stop chicane, and yet again, the outside line has a lot of momentum. Thomas McMullen getting a massive push from Justin Napier right now. It's going to die off a little bit on the middle of the corner, but I think they're going to be strong, and they're going to be dead even as we come to the start-finish line, and they're going to have a really good shot at taking the stage win.
Nick Hurd was squirrely coming into the tri-oval. And, oh, there goes Justin Napier looking around. We have white flag in stage number 2, a bit of a calmer white flag. We'll see how things trend here on this last lap of stage 2. It's lap 60 of 100. The top 5 get stage points. And there they go, wrecking for 5th or so. That's the 5 of Truxell hard into the inside wall. He's going to bring the L2 of McMullen with him. Nick Hurd also through the grass. Meanwhile, your top 2 are going to walk away as David Bradford leading Chris Mathis in second. Chris Mathis said he wanted to help David Bradford get a stage win. It's going to happen from the looks of things. Will they drag race it out? Meanwhile, the battle is also on for 5th spot. And who gets that last stage point? Chris Mathis takes the stage win back away from David Bradford, and he sweeps the stages here at Daytona. David Bradford only gets 4 spots. Cody Harger, it looks like, will take 4th behind Cole Ainsley 3rd, and in front of Jeff Napier in 5th. Let's go back and see what happened to Nick Hurd and company, because that really shook things up.
Yeah, Nick Hurd's went on a couple rides today. First going through the inside wall and then going through the grass. We're gonna get a good view here. You see Ainsley go up to the top side there. Looks like some contact, and then he goes low, hits, looks like the 5 machine there. McMullen goes through the grass, through the bus stop. Looks pretty much unscathed there.
Honestly, I thought we were going to be able to get away with that in that stage. We only had about 9 cars in the lead lap, and it seemed relatively calm, but I guess it's just a product of the beast here at Daytona, especially with this current rules package that we have with the Cup Series. It just encourages a lot of aggressive driving, and we're just going to see a mismatch of bumpers. They just don't meet up, and around goes McMullen. And it looks like he is able to avoid getting into the inside barrier. So in a very impressive job, he's going to skid through the bus stop chicane, and he should be in pretty good shape here.
Great driving from McMullen not to hit anything after the initial contact with Ainsley. He lost a spot there as well to DeFries, who had issues earlier on. There's the replay of the finish of stage number 2 as Chris Mathis takes it away from, not sure if it's a teammate or just a buddy in David Bradford, but he said he wanted to help him out, and then, well, he took that stage win right away. So I guess when your head's up like that, all bets are off. You want to go get those points, because when it comes down to it, you want to be a champion at the end of 14 races when everything's wrapped up here in the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. If you're just joining us here at the completion of stage number 2, it's been a wild one. Chris Mathis has swept both stages, but it's been exciting through and through. The weather pretty calm here in Daytona Beach, Florida, right around 70 degrees, track temp 122, calm winds. This will tell the tale, though. 5 cautions for 11 laps. 2 of those have been stage yellows, so only 3 wrecks. But we've had some incidents here and there that have really changed things up. And 19 lead changes in just 60 laps thus far. It has been exciting.
Exciting indeed. We definitely have a lot left in this race, so I think we're just now getting started. You know, we're 2/3 of the way through the race. This final third is going to be very, very interesting, and I'm ready to see it get underway. As we have a battle off of pit road. I'm not sure if Cole Ainsley got that. That was really close.
As these guys sort themselves out coming out of pit road, it looks like it's going to be Chris Mathis yet again claiming the victory, this time in the race off of pit road. We're going to be borderline being able to get to the end of this race on fuel. So I think we could see some interesting strategy if we go all the way to the end of the race. Probably going to need to see some fuel saving, but I think the odds are really against us getting a race that goes without a caution here. These guys have just been so aggressive, and cautions are sometimes going to be a result of that. Cole Ainsley will grab that 2nd spot off of pit road, followed by David Bradford, Justin Napier, and then Jeff Napier will be right behind him.
So since we words, man, again, I do it. Since we've already talked to Chris Mathis, our stage number 2 winner, what do you say we go ahead and dial up David Bradford? Trey Patton, I'll hand him your way.
David Bradford So we thought you were going to get the stage win there because we heard Chris say he was trying to help you get the stage win, and then got a heads-up battle there, and it looks like he just snagged it away from you.
Well, I can't blame him for that. I mean, we got out there by ourselves, and I kind of just knew I was a sitting duck right there. And I don't blame him for going for it. I would have went for it. So, you know, that's just part of it. You know, he's got points to get. I've got points to get. I wasn't really going to push the issue with blocking him or nothing like that this early in the race. So it was probably just smarter on my part just to go ahead and let him have it.
So we were praising you at the end of stage 1 for actually staying out to get that track position. And then, you know, you had that little mix-up where you got to the back of the pack, and there you were back up at the front at the end of it to get second place. So, I mean, stage points is better than no points, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, 54 got into me off two there and kind of shot me down. And luckily the car's good enough and the draft's good enough that I could catch up with these guys and start making moves to help get myself back up there. And then once I got to the front, I knew I had Chris behind me, and he's a real good pusher at these places, real aggressive. And, man, he's just a real good teammate to have around these places. Like you said, any kind of points is good points.
So we're seeing a couple of guys get a little sideways here with the draft and everything. So is the car a little loose, or is that just due to the draft?
I'm kind of seeing it. It's if someone gets on you real tight, it can get that way. But I've seen a lot of cars getting down here on the apron, kind of bumping their left fronts on the yellow lines here, and that's kind of what's getting them all squirrely and stuff. If you hit a guy hard enough, it knocks him sideways a little bit. But other than that, the car's not driving too bad once it's up to speed. It's kind of squirrely once it gets when you're going up from second to third. But other than that, it's a pretty good driving car, and it should be a real good race.
All right, well, we appreciate your time. We're going to get you back up there, and you're going to restart third, so good luck.
Thanks, guys.
And he quickly gets this race back restarted from the third position, the front row. Get across the start finish. That was Chris Mathis and Cole Ansley as we get back restarted now on the far side of both of our stages. Chris Mathis swept them both, and he leads off into turn 1.
As you see there, Chris Mathis and David Bradford mentioned, good teammate to have here. They got surged away quite a little bit in front ahead of Jeff Napier there. Got about a car length and a half lead so far. We're going to see Napier pulled down in front of DeFries. Actually not.
So as we come through the middle of 3 and 4, we have to raise the question, are these guys going to have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race if we do not have a caution? We know just from history that we normally have about 30 or 35 laps on fuel here at Daytona International Speedway in the Cup cars, so we're going to be right on the cusp of that. I think I said it a little bit earlier, the odds are against us going all the way to the end just because of how aggressive these guys have been, I think. But, you know, you never know. We have to consider it. Just to get back to the racing action, though, it looks like the top 4 are single file, a little bit of double file here in the lead pack, but orderly so far, 101.5 laps into green flag road.
Well, I mentioned we wanted to go through the field at some point. Let's go ahead and do it now before they get too crazy here. Mike Aiello Jr. does not make the start of this race, and subsequently Vincent Short is our last car running. The 015 has been in a lot of it this evening, unfortunately, and his race just not going the way that he wanted. He's currently running 20th of 20 on the racetrack. Andrew Cootie, Mark Truxell, looks like they both parked it, so we move up then to Scott Warren, who, man, he was so good for so long, and suddenly now 2 laps down. Almost written out of this thing, but we still got a lot of racing to go. He's not out of it just yet, is Scott Warren in 17th spot. 2 laps down. That's Justin Napier in the grass. Hang on to it. He does. We'll continue going through the field real quick. Tommy D'Angelo in 16th. It's Chris Johnson. A lap down with Tommy D'Angelo, but he is in 15th spot, Trey Patton.
And then going further up through the field, we see Hayes Booth, currently 14th, started 12th. Had a little bit of an issue. We saw his lap car. Looks like he is back on the lead lap now. Ahead of him, we saw Justin Napier, who went through the grass for a little bit of a ride there. Then we have Cody Harger there in the 12th spot. Bobby Hamilton right in front of him. And then once we get into the top 10, we got Fred Straywich.
Yeah, Fred Strawich, he hasn't really been prevalent near the front today, but he's been pretty consistent. Haven't talked about him much, and that could be, just what you need to be able to get out there and get a race win at a place like Daytona. As we continue to progress up the leaderboard, we had John Barjo-Quez. We're not sure of the pronunciation yet. We'll get that definitely worked out for round 2 at Atlanta. Very consistent. He got spun around, actually, at a tuner at the back end of Stage 2, but he's right back with the lead pack yet again. And then we continue up to Jeffrey Napier. He's running P8. He's been very consistent throughout much of the afternoon, up near the front of the pack. And I think he's definitely have a very good shot of going out there for a race win, like most of the guys up front. Continuing onward, we also have Scott Warren. He is 2 laps down, but he's right up there in the lead pack. And I think everyone ahead of him is probably on the lead lap, such as Will Hewitt. He's 3 wide on the outside line. And then as we progress even farther ahead, I believe we're currently tracking with Colt Ainsley. He is 4th car on the inside line. He's going to come to the start-finish line, and he's going to be scored in P6 at the moment, I believe. P5, top 5 right now for Colt Ainsley.
And so we missed Will Hewitt in all of that. He slipped back a few spots in the number 7 Chevrolet Camaro. Not sure exactly what happened, but he got shuffled out of line, lost some spots. We rejoin with Colt Ainsley, who a very tumultuous afternoon, and he's to the inside of Scott Warren, who's definitely giving Nick Hurd a run for money, and that gives our segue into Nick Hurd, actually, as he moves ahead of McMullen for a moment, now back behind him. Man, the 17, I think, has been the most well-rounded driver this afternoon, but he's gotten into a couple of different incidents just by chance. Nothing of his doing, and he has been put by the wayside a couple of times. Thomas McMullen to his inside. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he's looking like a definite favorite to mix things up here at the end. But again, a couple of incidents have held him back just a little bit. DeFries to his outside, who he's now trying to pass, and is actually side drafting him. Contact out of 2. Alan DeFries, another one of those drivers that we were not really keeping tabs on, and then suddenly was up in this lead fight. And you know what? We've talked enough about these top 2, David Bradford and Chris Mathis. We'll just let it go from there. Certainly a lot of fun this afternoon. Glad to be here for the opening round of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. We're going to quickly go down the line and thank our partners here at PitStop TV, Tucson Sound Art. We also want to thank Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine and Whiplash Media. They support us. Go try and support them while I'm trying to watch everything that's happening here as the 71 almost gets put in the wall. Man, this is some great stuff.
You can see the 17, or the 076. Scott Warren's actually 2 laps down, and he's right behind our current leader, Chris Mathis. Looks like he's trying to get his lap back. So I'm not sure if that kind of threw maybe a little bit of the drivers off there, trying to figure out why he was trying to get back up to the front. But as you see there, he's going to go to the outside as we see from afar. It looks like David Bradford's going to leave him hanging on the outside as he tries to get up to the back bumper of Chris Mathis.
It's definitely important that you bring up the scenario that Scott Warren is in. With only 30 laps to go, he's really in a do-or-die scenario right now. If he's able to get out front of our leaders and get scored 1 lap down, that puts him in a perfect position to maybe fight for the lucky dog here. Of course, we would need another yellow after that for him to actually get a lucky dog. But otherwise, he's kind of stuck 2 laps down. We have 2 guys currently sat 1 lap down, including Tommy D'Angelo and Chris Johnson. So he's not lucky dog eligible at the moment. So if Scott Warren wants to get back in this race, he's going to have to hope and pray for more yellows. And he's also probably going to want to get ahead of the lead pack. And it looks like we're starting to get formed pretty tightly together. It looks like the first 10 or so cars are formed up. And we have about 4 cars on the outside line as we head into 1.
I just saw Colt Ainsley do something he did earlier on in this race, very early in stage 1. He caught that inside apron through the tri-oval, and he's done that before. He did it again. It's something you cannot do. We saw DeFries do it as well. These guys, when they do it, no, it was not DeFries. It was a 78 car, my bad, of Chris Johnson in 16th spot. he's caught that apron as well, and it can certainly throw these guys for a big spin if they catch it just right and just hard enough. You can really cause a big problem if you do catch it. So, again, it's easier to do in the tri-oval than it is in the corners, but you really got to be weary of it. Meanwhile, Chris Mathis continuing to lead now 75, lap 75 rather, of 100. We're coming to complete 75 laps. There's the 32 car of one John Borocles, and I'm not sure how long he'd been on the racetrack. He may have taken a wave around to get into that position, which is why he pitted early. But we're expecting these drivers to be faced with a possible pit stop before this race is over in 25 laps time.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when we're expecting a pit stop. I think they'll be in, let's see, drivers are on a 12-lap stint right now, so they'll probably come in with maybe 5 laps to go ish. I mean, depending if we have a yellow or not, but it's definitely going to be cutting it close.
I have to be wondering if guys like, say, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Fred Strawich, who are guys that are hanging near the tail end of the pack, have to wonder if they're doing aggressive fuel saving to try to actually stretch it to the end of the race. Of course, I think regardless, it's going to be really tough to push it all the way to the end, just because you're basically full throttle, even if you're, in the draft, in the slipstream. It's just so difficult to find places to save fuel here, just because you're so close to being on the edge all the time. It's not like your normal oval track where you might get the chance to engage the clutch and not lose too much momentum in the middle of the corner when you get into a braking zone. It's just Daytona is basically full throttle.
We're on board with Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 9th position. He started 13th. He's led a couple of laps as well. He's made a couple of charges further forward in the race, but man, he's just slipped back right now. And like you said, Trey, he could be trying to save some fuel. It's an interesting thought, because you might be able to save a lap, and if it is a lap that we're waiting on, of course, the stage break takes us a little deeper into this final stage, making it about 36, I think, laps to the end. So if you can save just one lap of fuel, that could be the difference between running out on the last lap like Kyle Larson and others back in 2017, or you could be Kurt Busch racing you back to the end and winning at Daytona. This is basically their Daytona 500, of course, so they are going to do everything they can to win.
And rightfully so, as we see, it looks like John Borocles has left the session. Unfortunate for him, he's currently scored in the 17th spot. Meanwhile, the battle up front, we see, looks like Scott Warren still trying to work that high line to try to get his lap back. It hasn't quite worked yet. See Colt Ainsley getting a little squirrely here. He's not the only one. But David Bradford, almost some contact there between Ainsley and Warren. Just a lot to consider here, and just not much time left. And speaking of that...
And we're wrecking down the front stretch. We've got a big one. And I think 7 or so cars. We'll get that replay up for you in a moment. We're coming right to about 20 laps to go. Well, there goes the strategy out the window. Suddenly we've got ourselves a race.
Yeah, I knew something was going to come up soon, because I knew just the way things were going there. And I was hoping it wasn't going to be Scott Warren causing anything, but it looks like it was further on back. Not quite sure who that was yet. But that definitely throws the strategy out the window there, what I was talking about. So these guys are going to be able to come in, top off, and it's just going to be a straight, flat race to the end.
So looking at the replay, it looks like the catalyst occurred between Cody Harger and Alan DeVries. It looks like they hit each other's in the side, and that sent the 66 of Harger into the outside wall. And from there, it was just a chain reaction, collecting a few key contenders such as Nick Hurd, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and others.
Take another look at it here. We'll go slow-mo and try and diagnose all of this. So we're watching the black and gray number 66 and the white number 71 with the Monster Zero Ultra branding on that car. And there it is. 66 just turns left in the tri-oval. I think misjudged the space that he had to work with. Body slams the 71, sends him onto the apron, himself into the wall, and then he comes back down, collects the 7 of Will Hewitt, the 78 of Chris Johnson, and some more. D'Angelo involved. I see Hamilton Jr. I see Hurd. And a couple of cars do get woed down. That's going to be, I got to think, Straylich and Napier, who did check up. We'll take one of their onboards here as well.
Yeah, Nick Hurd's definitely went on a few rides there, as we mentioned before. We're going to get the onboard of Fred Straylich here. So we're on board looking at the right front of his machine. We're going to see the car go to the apron there, into the wall, and then the contact in front gets it woed down just enough. And looks like, yeah, got through that scot-free. Good thing he slowed down a little bit there, but fortunately for him, he was just far back enough to not get involved in that.
That might have been our biggest collective wreck of the day, and that is definitely saying a lot after just how crazy this race has been so far. This time we'll ride on board with Bobby Hamilton Jr. We were talking about the fact that he was kind of laying low here in the middle stages of stage 3, and unfortunately, sometimes when you're hanging near the back of the pack, it doesn't put you in the right place to be able to react to accidents like that, and he's just going to be meat in a massive sandwich of about 5 cars, and that's not going to be great. Fortunately, or rather, hopefully, he has a fast repair in the bank. Otherwise, it might be tough to go for a race win for him.
Viewing now the onboard of Will Hewitt in the number 7 as he goes for a wild ride. Certainly not what you want to see on lap, what was it, 78, I think, 79 when it happened. We were coming to 20 to go, and man, we were getting right to where things were going to get interesting if things stayed clean and green. Interestingly, though, the top 5 does stay out, so they feel like they've got enough fuel and can save under this caution enough to go the distance. What do you say we dial one of them up, actually, and ask them ourselves? We'll go ahead and we will grab Jeff Napier. He's been in the thick of things all evening long in that number 40, and he's running 4th place. And I'll hand it back over to Trey Shuttlesworth.
Jeffrey Napier, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here at Daytona. About 18, 19 laps to go, and I have to ask, do you think you have enough fuel in the tank here to make it to the end of the race?
I don't feel I paid it on the last stage, so I should be fine.
All right, that sounds like pure confidence. Otherwise, how has your strategy been in terms of pushing for stage wins today?
Well, I got stage points on the last one. I think 4th or 5th place on the last one there. But the outside line just is not going at all. So it's like been the low line and the middle line that goes.
Yeah, that seems to be the case so far. Of course, we still have a little bit of ways to go, so we'll have to see if anything changes. Otherwise, have to ask any friends out there that you're going to look to work with here over the last 18 laps or so.
Chris in front of me, Cole, David, I got a lot of good guys right here around me, and Thomas and Hayes. My son Justin's in here, so we've got a good pack up front here. It's just a matter of who can organize the best deal and make it happen. This is Daytona. You never know till the last lap what's going to happen.
Yep, it should definitely be fun to watch. Thanks again, Jeff, for joining us, and good luck out there over the last little bit.
Yeah, no problem at all. See you in victory lane.
Sounds good. Jeffrey Napier, he's currently running in 4th place here at Daytona.
I like that. See you in victory lane. That's pretty confident. I certainly don't think I would be saying that in his position, just because you never know what's going to happen at Daytona, but he's got a much more confident way of looking at things as we come to this restart on lap 82 of 100, coming to 83 of 100, and a big restart for Chris Mathis He drops down in front of teammate David Bradford. That was definitely scripted between those two. It's now lap 83 words. 83 of 100, which means 18 to go. I was going to say 16, then 17, and I knew neither one of those was right. 18 laps to go as of the start-finish that time by. I see some drivers, actually, that we haven't seen in a while. Hayes Booth, the biggest one of those. Straywich is moving up as well. But Hayes Booth, how about him? 8th spot right now.
Yeah, after that early mix-up, I think he was a lap car at one point, and then looks like he got that quick repair, and looks like he's back into the mix of things, sitting in 8th place, as you mentioned, right in crunch time.
Very impressive, and I think he has just enough time to make something happen here. So we're going to come to the completion of lap 83, and it's going to continue to be Chris Mathis on the point, as we head into turn 1. Single file for the first 6 or 7 rows or so. It's not until we get to around 7th or 8th where we're starting to see guys flirting with the outside line. Otherwise, very orderly. Definitely not for long here at Daytona.
And if I can hand out an award to any one driver in this field, it's going to go to the 015 of Vincent Short, the Never Give Up award. Because he's still out here. I mean, he's had an awful race. Let's just be honest. He started 18th. He's currently 19th. He's only been as high as 18th this evening. I don't know how. It's Daytona, but that's because he's had such a bad go of things. It's not even his fault. He just got caught up in incidents, and since then has not been able to recover. I mean, this has just been a Daytona to forget for him, and hopefully he rebounds next week at Atlanta, because this has been an awful showing for the 015. Again, nothing he did wrong, just got caught up in stuff early.
Yeah, very unfortunate. If we look further up front, we actually have, looks like the top 10 cars are about single file. You see Scott Warren, and right when I say that, looks like Colt Ainsley goes up to the outside, their lap car down on the apron. Ainsley almost snags the wall there. The 71's going to get in front of him. So we're looking here. Looks like the 54 snags the apron a little bit there. Scott Warren still going to try and surge to the front.
In fact, Trey Pat, you said there's about 10 cars left. There's only 10 cars in the lead lap here, and they're all within the lead pack. I do think we have a couple of cars that are lapped down that are, hanging around here in the lead pack, such as the guy who was, on the last run running up near the front. Yet again, on the outside line, it is the 076 of Scott Warren. He is all by his lonesome on the outside line, but it looks like the front two are going to step up and try to block an aggressive run from Warren, but he's going to continue to utilize their slipstream, and he's going to be 3rd car in line if he gets the chance to duck down. Not quite.
And there you see gap to leader, 1 lap. He did just pass. Sorry, that's only going to the car ahead, I guess. It's interesting. It's messing around between in front of and behind. Oh, I guess because he's just ahead of Tommy DeAngelo, so it's flipping behind 44 seconds to Jeff Napier, or I guess in front of Jeff Napier. That's kind of weird that Delta is doing that, but regardless, the Delta to the leader, 1 lap for Scott Warren. He's side by side with him now, and he just might be able to make it 45 seconds if he can get on by. He was nose to tail, or not, well, nose to tail. He was about even with him into 3 is what I'm trying to get to. He has no help until now. Nick Hurd finally gets to his bumper, and will shove him back ahead of Chris Mathis here shortly.
Yeah, definitely has a strong running for being the only car. Looks like the 02 gets into the apron there, keeps it going, takes out the commitment cone there. I think he'll be good with no penalty. But that right there kind of actually helped Scott Warren, but it looks like Nick Hurd's going to go back to the inside line, so he is strung out the track.
Regardless of whether or not Thomas McMullen gets a penalty, he's definitely going to need to hope for a yellow here. He has completely lost the lead pack. We get back up to the front of the pack, and it is starting to get a little bit less orderly than we were a few laps ago. Guys are starting to actually work with the lap car of Scott Warren right now to try to get the outside line collectively going. We look at having a little bit of issues there. Justin Napier off the pace, and breezing by him is going to be the 02 of McMullen. Those guys might want to link up if their cars are both in running condition right now, but I don't think that's the case.
And I wonder if that's why he did it, because he quickly ducked out of line into 3. I'm not really sure why, other than maybe to grab the O2, but now the O2 is breezed on by, and I don't know if they can get linked back up, but they continue to battle up ahead, and Chris Mathis is in the hot seat. He's got teammate David Bradford behind, but everybody else wants to get by him for one reason or another, whether you're Scott Warren trying to get a lap back, or the other 17, Nick Hurd, who just wants to win this race. Everybody else wants to get by right now. David Bradford at least can hold off until the exit of turn 4 on lap 100. And everybody else just wants to get by. They want to mix things up. They want to control this race. David Bradford having to play Pied Piper for the number 18 of Chris Mathis. And this is not at all helping Scott Warren because everybody's trying to pile on the bottom right now. You see Nick Hurd has gone down there. You see Hayes Booth has gone down there. Now we have, who is that up in behind? Is that is Cole Ainsley, who has gone down to the bottom side as well. Hayes Booth dips out of line, though. He's going to give up some spots.
He's definitely trying to get to the back of the pack there because I guess he did not like what he was seeing up there. Probably this 217 cars battle in there definitely was getting a little squirrely. I thought some contact was going to be made as we're looking on the back of the David Bradford machine, looking to the front end of that would be Nick Hurd. And you can see further back, looks like Nick Hurd's going to go in front of Scott Warren. And you see Alan DeFries, yeah, that is Alan DeFries in third in line, rather. That inside line is really where you want to be right now, because that outside line, they get momentum every once in a while, but it's not really where you want to be right now, because no moves are really being made.
There has been no collective harmony on the outside line here for this entire final run. We're starting to see now Scott Warren actually work together with Nick Hurd. Bumpers locked as they enter turn 4, or rather turn 3, coming out of turn 4, coming into the start-finish line. It's going to be Nick Hurd, new leader at Daytona at the stripe. Give him credit for leading lap 91 here at Daytona, and I believe that is now going to be 9 laps to go here at Daytona, and we are going to have an absolute mad race to the finish.
That's his 5th lap led this afternoon. Mathis edges back ahead with help from Bradford and DeFries on the bottom side. Napier's back there as well of the Jeff variety. And let's see, he's going to go back up to the top side now with Scott Warren and I think Cole Ainsley. Cole Ainsley, suddenly he's in 2nd or 3rd place. He's trying to pass Chris Mathis as Nick Hurd is now the sole leader. Scott Warren has help from the 86 of Ainsley up on the top side. Oh, Mathis hooks the 17 of Nick Hurd rather, through the pit lane. Is that going to bring out a yellow flag? Not yet. We're going to go back up to the front of the field here as Scott Warren has unlapped himself for the moment, and Cole Ainsley will assume the race lead. Chris Mathis then 2nd place, just in front of teammate David Bradford. Side by side, we're DeFries and Napier. Looks like they'll sort that out. Everybody's single file up here. No caution flag for Nick Hurd. Heartbreak for the 17.
Yeah, definitely heartbreak for the 17 indeed. Man has went on a few rides today. But if I'm Scott Warren, I was hoping that was going to bring out the caution because he would be the first car lap down to get his lead lap back. But nonetheless, he is back on the lead lap. But he is still scored, I believe he is scored now in 10th place.
Correct. You can put Scott Warren, last car in the lead lap. He currently sits rather in P11 on timing and scoring. But I think if Nick Hurd has to come down pit road and take penalties for an unsafe pit entry when he was spinning, he could very well get a top 10 finish out of this, even if we don't get a yellow here. As we are going to come to take 6 laps to go. And the outside line this time is going to be led by Chris Mathis. He's going to have the help of David Bradford as well. So as the cars continue to wind down, we still have a lot of strong cars in contention.
Squirrely was race leader Ainsley, and that lead car right now is actually Scott Warren, who has now unlapped himself. He's technically on the lead lap, but 44 or so, maybe 45 seconds behind the race leaders. And, I mean, he needs a miracle right now to get back into this thing. I guess a yellow, but regardless, he needs a lot to go his way. He needs to not be the yellow flag that he needs. Chris Mathis on the outside has help from Bradford. They get things sort of back out up there, and they're now going to try and pass Napier and DeFries. DeFries 2nd place. Napier is about to give up that 3rd spot to the 18. Well, there they go. They sort of back out, and now almost single file.
Yeah, single file all the way back until you see Hayes Booth. He's the lone car on the outside line. Coming to 5 laps to go. We're going to see Mathis try to push Napier, try to see if we can get anything going out of that outside lane. You see DeFries try to block the momentum there and just didn't have enough time. Will we see Ainsley try to go up and block it?
We come through turn 2 this time, and the leader on the outside line this time is going to be Jeffrey Napier. And cars swirling down the back straightaway. Scott Warren continuing to lead. We're 3-4 wide, and that's it.
And here they go.
4 cars going into the inside grass. No full course yellow from race control. We're still waiting to see that yellow. And drivers over race control are saying, where's the yellow? We're going to keep going, I guess.
Alright, man,
Oh, and there it is.
out.
Race control has pulled the yellow out, and that's going to probably send us into our first green-white checker of the night.
That definitely will. Now 4 laps to go at Daytona International Speedway. That is going to get extended. A big junk 'em up down the backstretch. We'll see what all causes this. This is kind of as it's already happening, and they're just making some decisive moves. Ainsley, I think, made the final move to start all of that, coming back down onto, I'm not sure who that was. We'll take a look back at it and see how it all gets started. Cole Ainsley was the race leader. There were some moves happening behind him. See, Napier got turned by Mathis into somebody, and then Ainsley was just blocking, and I mean, Ainsley just straight up made a bad block. There's no other way to say that. He just made a really bad block down the backstretch.
Yeah, bad blocks happen here and there, but unfortunately, it's just part of racing. Unfortunate that, we had a good pack and a good race going there, but if anybody's happy to see that, that is the 076 machine of Scott Warren. That is going to put him scored in the 9th position to have a shot to race for the win.
Less than 30 laps ago, Scott Warren was 2 laps down to the race leaders, and now he's going to be in the top 10, and he's going to have a very legitimate shot over 2 green flag laps to try to go out there and get a race win. So in a very impressive job, and I think he's just proving himself to be a very strong contender here in the championship. We'll continue to get visual sights of this 4-wide incident that occurred as a result of a bad block, and it didn't seem like guys had a lot of critical damage from this incident, but it was definitely something that's going to hurt their chances going forward.
And there was Mathis's move, and then, Ainsley just made a move down to the inside, and they were 4 wide. And when you stack cars 4 wide like that, you can't make a move left or right because that's what happens. And unfortunately, they're going to wind them up on the bottom side through the grass. And I don't know, the 71 took a pretty hard hit to freeze down there. Napier backs it in pretty hard, but these guys should have faster pairs, should be able to get back into it. I wonder how Mathis did up there going through the grass, or going back onto the racetrack. I'm trying to see if he got any more hits. Looks like the back end of that car was sheared off, so we'll see what exactly happens to him, because it looked like he took another hit maybe into the outside wall or what have you. There they go, and yeah, I think he's going to take a pretty hard hit to the outside wall. There it is. Boom.
Yeah, definitely a hard hit, but looking at it now, he comes out of pit road and he has got a brand new machine to bring it back out on the racetrack and try to get this win.
We were talking earlier about the value in being able to save your fast repair, and that right there is why. Chris Mathis was in a position so far today where he was able to push as much as he wanted here at the back end of the race, and here he has that get-out-of-jail-free card, a complete reserve car, on in storage, and he's going to have to grid up near the back end of the lead lap cars, but he has proved himself to have a lot of friends out there that will work with him, and I think he's going to have a really good shot. We're also going to see Alan DeVries on pit road. His car looks relatively clean. I wonder if he got that fast repair as well. He's going to get a couple of fresh Goodyear Eagles on each side, and I think he'll be back in the running. Looking at time and scoring, though, he is 1 lap down.
He did just get his fast repair, though, and he could still get back into things. We were watching that on our end of the stream. He had a very dinged-up race car, and it was perfect because you were talking about how it's important to save that fast repair, and it looked like he didn't. And then suddenly his car reset, and he's good to go, just 1 lap down. So it's a matter of whether or not he can get another yellow here before the end of things to get himself back into it.
Yeah, he definitely has a shot. We have 3 green-white checkered attempts, so if something doesn't go right the first time, he definitely has a shot to get back into the mix here. But basing off of that, I think we don't quote me on that, but we might see multiple green-white checkered attempts because I expect this to be nothing but aggressive.
You know, these guys do have to make it, 2.5 miles to get there to the end. But like you said, there's just so much to push for here because we're very simply out of time. So, yeah, I think we'll definitely go to 2 or 3 green-white checkers here until these guys, realize, hey, we're running out of time and we want to finish this race under the green flag.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's actually pretty easy to get that first lap in because you're just getting up to speed and you don't have the runs forming yet. It's a matter of when you come out of turn 4, and I think that's where, if we're going to have a wreck, it's going to happen. It's going to be somewhere 3 and 4 because that's when those runs will start to develop and they'll start to make moves. It's pretty hard to do so through 1 and 2 when you're just getting up to speed, running through the gears, and trying to get into a rhythm. Meanwhile, the green flag will fly, and we'll find out how this all goes. Some spun tires on the restart. A bit of a chain reaction. They spread out a little bit. David Bradford leads. It's Straywich to his outside, actually, in the number 27, and they get single file up front. Oh, and we're wrecking. Somehow,
and there they go.
They found a way to do it before the line. Oh, and it's a big one as well.
Yeah, I think that kind of happened there. You mentioned some spun tires. It looked like Hayes Booth got a really good restart and just nailed the back end of David Bradford, and they got stacked up back there. We're going to get a view at that here.
You know what? It was Ainsley and Mathis again, but we've got to find out who hit who this time because it may have been a reverse function of what we saw to bring out the previous yellow. You see other cars spinning through turns 1 and, well, just turn 1 on the racetrack and the grass, and this is going to fan everybody out. I wonder if DeFries got through this, Shuttlesworth.
We'll have to take a look at the replay here one more time and see what happened to Alan DeVries. And we see guys such as Mathis on the inside line, and
he did not. He gets hit.
Yep, in the rear, unfortunately. Wow. I was watching a replay from a different perspective from what you have. He looked clean for a second, but then all of a sudden, I believe he gets tagged by Cody Harger. And that's not the first time those guys have come together today. They caused the yellow, I believe, 10 laps ago or so.
I'm curious as to what Harger might have seen because there was a lot of stacking up, and he was on the throttle a bit longer, and I don't think he ever got on the brakes. He just lifted and ends up running in the back of the 71. It's unfortunate for the 71 of DeFries because that was his ticket back into this race, but I want to see what happens here with Chris Mathis. We're going to slow things way down. And we're going to go to a blimp because I'm still very curious as to what exactly happens. Ainsley technically comes down, but man, that's a low percentage move in and of its own.
Yeah, definitely not a lot of room there. Looks like he comes down, and then there's Scott Warren in the mix. Just got back into the position to be racing for the win. And gets caught up in that. I'm not quite sure if he got any damage from that other than getting collected, maybe some right front damage. But yeah, definitely Ainsley came down into Mathis there. Mathis just got back in the mix of that as well. And I think he just absolutely clobbered the inside wall.
We continue to look at some replays, and now back to live, and we're just gonna, see who we're working with here. I think we'd like to talk to Fred Straywich here, who finds himself here in second position here, but it's gonna be fun to watch the end of the race here. Timing and scoring showing 10 guys on the lead lap. Alan DeVries is currently 10th car, last car on the lead lap, but he's gonna have to come down pit road and take those repairs.
And so we'll bring the driver of the number 27, Fred Straywich, into the booth. Fred, it's certainly been an exciting one, and you weren't always in necessarily the battle right up front, but you were always kind of lurking around, and you found your way into second place, getting ready to go for green-white checkered number 2.
Yeah, that pretty much was nothing but luck, and some more luck.
We've definitely seen good and bad luck out there this evening. For your number 27, though, you started up front, actually. Started 6th spot, and you've just kind of mulled around. You've been in an incident or two, not of your own doing. How's your night gone, and do you have a shot here at Bradford?
Night's been fine. I tried to stay out in the back just to keep the car clean, and I don't know. When I'm out front by myself, the car just doesn't want to go, but if I get behind somebody, we could take off like a rocket.
Yeah, it seems like it's been hard to make a move on your own. Well, you know, to lead that move. But if you're following somebody, man, the draft is on your side. What do you think it's going to take in this last little dash to the end if we actually get a clean green lap first to beat that 46 car, and how much of a push you need from behind?
Gonna need a rocket behind me, maybe 2 to get in front of them. There's no push on the outside unless you got 3 cars up real tight, and we haven't really been able to do that this whole race.
Well, Fred, we appreciate your side of things. We'll see if we're talking to you here shortly for the top 3, and best of luck to you here on this last restart, or well, what might be the last restart.
Yeah, thank you so much. Y'all have a good one.
You as well, and that's Fred Stranwich, currently riding in 2nd place, and yeah, I mean, I think he's right that he's going to need a heck of a rocket ship up behind him. He's going to need a lot to go right because that bottom side just fires off so much better. Sometimes we'll even see now with the choose cone and such in NASCAR, those guys do tend to sometimes go up on the top side. It's a bit more rare. Usually just line up, however, it's a plate track, whatever, but sometimes they will go up top and get a better run up there. Not so much here on iRacing. We're coming to the second green-white checker to stack up top. Not going to help Stranwich. Bradford going to lead, 3 wide behind.
Yeah, 3 wide behind for sure. Almost 4 wide there for a second. David Bradford up ahead. Right behind him, Justin Napier. We got the 0-2 on the apron along with Stranwich. They're going to keep it going as we enter the backstretch.
Oh, no, they're not there. Mathis just got put in the wall hard. DeFries had to miss the rejoining number 27. Somehow they kept it straight, Shuttlesworth. I'm not sure how.
We're going to head into turn 3, and I think we're going to take the white flag here. Oh, no.
Caution.
It is going to be an iRacing thrown yellow flag. We'll have to see what actually caused the incident. Have to wonder if we're going to make it all the way around this time. These guys are, you know, very trigger happy right now, and they're really aggressive.
There was more wrecking here with Mathis and some others, and it was all a continuation of what happened down in turns 1 and 2. So we'll show you that first, and we'll just stay with the number 27, who we just talked to, and it seems like we put a curse on him here on this last restart. He turns left like he thinks he's clear of McMullen, and well, he might have just been trying to pack down and side draft, I'm not sure. But they go onto the apron there. This is where we were kind of like, whoa, what's going on there? DeFries gets Mathis trying to avoid the 27. And then it all works out for a moment, and things happen up top, a reaction, and they just come up, and I mean, it's 4 wide again, and I think Mathis might have caught the wall all on his own.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like he clipped the wall and then came down a little bit there. We're going to ride on board with Mathis, You see he clipped the wall right there. You see the cars on the apron here. They're going to surge by, clips the wall there, yep, and just clips the 7. And that's what triggered the wreck right there.
I believe Mathis was already a little bit unstable, and he saw just an absolute stream of cars coming, you know, alongside his inside. They were already about 3 wide inside of him. I think they were 4 wide when that happened. Yeah, they were 4 wide when Mathis got to him. He might have just, got a little bit uncomfortable, and unfortunately that is going to collect Mathis as a result. We go back live, and your race leader, he's been very consistent since, I want to say, the start of stage 2. David Bradford will be leading the field to the green this time by for the final green-white checker.
DeFries finally gets that lap back that he was waiting on to get back into this race. We've got a lot of torn up race cars at this point, so he might be able to pass a few of them and still end up with a decent finishing position here. Certainly a turn of events. We had a really, really good race despite some incidents strewn throughout, and then suddenly right here at the end, it's still good racing. It's exciting. But we're waiting for these guys to make it back to the white flag. Hopefully they do this time around. What do you say we dial up yet another driver, and we'll mix it up? We've already talked to one Napier. What do you say we go ahead and talk to the younger of the two here, Trey Patton, Jeff's son, Justin?
Hey, Justin, this is Trey up in the booth. You got a copy.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going, man. We got a heck of a race going on here. Final green-white checkered. You find yourself P2 right now. So what's kind of going through your head? What do you expect to happen here?
If we get a good restart here, I got my dad, Jeff Napier, right behind me, so at least I know I got a good pusher who's going to stick with me. Got David Bradford and Scott on the inside here. That might be a dynamic duo there. David's good. He's been good on his restarts. So all I can do is just kind of sit here and watch, stay calm, and if I bring it home top 3, I'm pretty happy. Just gotta keep it on the track.
Yeah, we heard your dad mention before that he will see us in victory lane. Could we see the father-son duo make it happen here, or do we have a threat of Scott Warren now? He's back up in the mix in P3 now. So could he be a threat to the finish here?
Yeah, it's anybody's game on a track like this. Obviously, I want to see a 1-2, whether it be my dad win or I win, and I come second, he comes second. It's whatever we can do. I've been lagging in and out, so I've been having to drop to the back. So, 2 more laps on this rig, man. I hope she don't lag at all, and bring her home to the victory. I can taste it.
Taste indeed, it is right there. All you got to do is complete 2 laps to do it, and hopefully we'll be talking to you later.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, that is P2, Justin Napier. Might be able to bring it home.
We go down the Daytona super stretch for what is going to be the last time under pacing, regardless of what happens the rest of the way. And it's been chaos so far. It's probably going to continue. My hope is just that we at least get back to the white flag so that we can see these guys run all the way to the end. We have a lot of really strong drivers up front. A part of me kind of wants to see Scott Warren go out there and do it. He's been 2 laps down, about 30 laps to go, and I think he has a really good shot. He's shown to be very strong in the outside line. He just needs to get the right fortune of circumstances here.
It's been a thriller of a season opener here at Daytona this afternoon and evening. We're sinking into the afternoon, as the sun sets, rather, sinking closer to the evening. The shadows are growing longer, and we have just 2 laps to settle it all. The green flag will fly on our final green-white checkered attempt. Bradford, Napier, your front row. Then it's Warren, Napier, and Ainsley round out your top 5, racing into turn number 1.
You got Warren and Bradford using that inside line. Ainsley right behind them. The 2 Napier machines, they're going to duck low. Jeff's going to leave Justin out to dry on the outside here. As we see, David Bradford is going to be still leading as we go down the backstretch.
Coming 1.5 laps to go to the white flag. Rather, we're coming to the white flag. Almost 3 wide, and it looks like one of the Napiers into the outside wall. It is Jeffrey Napier. We're going to come through turn 4. Only 1 car on the outside line. It is currently Scott Warren. No help at the moment. He might have to be the pusher in this case instead of the one being pushed. White flag at Daytona. David Bradford will be leading. Will he be the one leading in 2.5 miles?
David Bradford leads into one. Oh, and he's going to get hooked. Ainsley hooks the number 46 of Bradford down to the inside of the racetrack, but we are going to the checkers. It's either bring home a trophy or the steering wheel as Warren and Ainsley are side by side. Where does Napier go? He goes high with Warren for now. Now 3 wide with the help of his father on the outside of the racetrack. Down to turn number 3 they go. And now side by side, 4 cars going at it. Will Napier help Napier on the top side? Could father-son do it at Daytona? Whoa, Warren gets hooked! Oh, and a big crash at Daytona. Neither Napier will get it. Colt Ainsley will win at Daytona. I can't believe it.
What a ride. I did not expect that coming at all. We see the 54 on his lid. Oh, Colt Ainsley. I was not expecting him to win that race at all. We see a car upside down. That is the 54 machine of Justin Napier. As we see the 17 of Scott Warren coming across the stripe. Very eventful last 2 sets of corners.
that was absolutely electric, and that what happened there in turn 4 was very reminiscent of what happened in the NASCAR Xfinity Series a couple weeks ago at Daytona, where Chastain got into his teammate AJ Allmendinger. It just seemed like, Ainsley was trying to put his car on the inside of, it would be Warren, but it just didn't seem like there was enough room, and unfortunately he's going to hook him in the left rear quarter panel, and Warren is going to struggle to finish this race, but it's going to be a race win for Colt Ainsley. What a race, what a season opener.
And this is where, we're feeling a new league out, and we got to wonder, are these guys going to take very kindly to some of the incidents that Colt Ainsley was in? Because, quite honestly, he was in quite a few of them, and it depends on the way you look at some of those as to whether or not you put the blame on them and whether or not you're going to remember that going into Atlanta, because I'll just be honest, the 86 was in the center of a lot of it, and sometimes in a negative way, but he gets a win at Daytona, and I don't necessarily know that he did anything wrong in the final lap. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying here, but he certainly... It could be taken the wrong way by some drivers. That's kind of what happens. It depends on whether or not these guys are all friends about it, or they might take some tempers into Atlanta and the rest of the season. We got to feel this league out and see the way they want to go with that. But let's watch the replay of turn number 4. You saw it there, and we're going to look back at it a couple of more times and watch this all build up. This is where we had kind of an issue waiting on the cars to come back, and they will come back to us right here in turn 3. And let's just try and diagnose all of this. A lot happened really quickly. So the Napiers had fallen back in 3, and they never really got their run going back together. But I think if they had linked up, and if Ainsley does not hook the 17 of Warren, and there it is. I mean, Warren left the door open on the bottom side, and Ainsley, he's racing for a win. I can't blame him for going there in that situation. Cannot blame him at all.
No, if the door's left open like that, 100% of the time you're going to go for it. You see this airborne, 3 cars right there go airborne, and just Colt Ainsley just somehow got away from that scot-free and just loaded him right into the win.
What can I say except on to Atlanta next week, and I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun as well. I have to see how these guys adapt to, as Kyle Busch would say, a real racetrack where these guys aren't going to be flat out all the time, and we're going to see Ainsley come across the stripe in victorious fashion.
I want to watch this one more time. I mean, this is just an insane finish, and definitely not necessarily what you want to see in terms of getting these cars back to the start-finish line. But it was exciting, that's for sure. I mean, that was a great way to finish the race if you just want to be a fan about it. Unfortunately for those 3 drivers, they had a shot at least finishing in the top 4, and suddenly they're all outside of the top 5. It is a great night, though, in the end, for Thomas McMullen and Alan DeFries. We didn't talk to any of the top 3 at all throughout the entire race, and now we get a chance to. We're going to step aside for just a moment, and then we'll be talking to them shortly. Colt Ainsley somehow ends up victorious at Daytona. We'll hear from him soon.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
We welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen, to Daytona International Speedway. What an event. Let's just put it that way. What a race number one for these drivers. And what a race in particular for Cole Ainsley, who is going to emerge from Daytona a race winner. We're going to talk to him here in just a moment. Cole Ainsley, do you have a copy? What a show.
Yeah, man, I'm here.
That was a heck of a race. It all built up to 3 green-white checkers. At the end of 109 laps instead of 100, you are victorious at Daytona. What happened on that last restart?
And I don't know whether to be happy or upset with myself. I definitely don't want to go out there and win a race like that. I try to race with everybody with respect, and especially David and Scott. They're both great guys. And I want to apologize on air to them for turning them. That's what happened, is I turned them. And Scott, I tried to save, and I just hooked him again. So just the way these cars are, man, you can't build a run and nowhere to go. Outside line barely works, and the third lane doesn't work at all. So you just kind of have to hang on for dear life and hope for something happens, and something did.
Well, as far as it comes down to that last incident, I don't think anybody can fault you for going for a race win. A door was suddenly opened up in front of you, and you filled that hole. I mean, you were going for a race win. It ends up being a race win. Not, I don't think, obviously, in the circumstances that anybody wanted to see, but a win is a win at Daytona and open up the season, and you've got a bunch of momentum. Whether or not you necessarily got it, I don't want to say quote the right way, but the way that really anybody wanted to see in terms of seeing a big crash, it's still momentum going forward, and it's a great springboard into the rest of the season. And you were there all night long talking about the stage breaks. I'm not sure we have to look back at it if you got stage points or not, but certainly you were there and you mixed it up all night long.
Yeah, I was able to land some stage points in stage 2. I goofed and lifted it before the stage break and lost out on my only point. So, but yeah, to have some points advantage. I don't know if I'll be the points leader or not. Doesn't really matter at this point. Daytona is just kind of a wild card. But yeah, it's great momentum going into the next season. Our ASA Camaro was really fast all night long. Just trying to pick the right lanes and pick the right lines, and used to race in one style in a different car, and then you come here in this car, and it's just so much different. So I was bouncing around like a pinball, but it is what it is.
And we mentioned actually switching around different disciplines, different cars and such here on the iRacing service. You guys are always doing something different each day. How much does that impact you as a driver when you make that switch from whatever car it may be to one of these?
Mainly it's the ARCA cars that we run. We ran a Super Speedway Series kind of preseason Thunder, and there's so much different. You can pull a draft and form a run 10, 12 car lengths back, and in these you have to be right up on somebody to even start to generate a run. So it is very different. Oddly enough, managing the wheel spin tonight was a huge deal. I mean, the last couple of restarts, I was on old tires, and I was wheel spinning the whole tri-oval trying to get up through the gears.
We talked about the tire allocation towards the start of this evening, how it wasn't going to make a big difference here at Daytona. But moving forward, especially to a place like Atlanta, that's going to change. How much is that going to matter? How much is it already in the back of your minds as drivers?
Well, I mean, we all know Hot Atlanta burns up tires, and that's one of my favorite places to run, especially when it's hot. It gets track gets slick, and you start laying down a bunch of rubber. So I think we'll have enough tires to make it there. I haven't checked the allocation yet, but I think we'll have enough. Luckily, I'll still have my set of tires. I haven't lost it yet, so I'll got to pick the tracks I do good at now, so I don't start screwing myself over towards the end of the season.
For sure, Colton. We appreciate your time here post-race. Before we let you go, I'll give you the floor. Who do you have to thank? Who do you want to give a shout-out to? Who do you want to say hi to at home?
Oh, I've got a little bit of a list here. I want to thank our series sponsors, Dr. Pepper, Waffle House, my sponsor, Ansley Contracting and Acquisitions, see who else. Red Dot Storage, First Horizons Bank, 7-Up, Whoppers, Zero Bar. All our sponsors that stick with us, and you guys for broadcasting. And shout out to my family, my parents at home watching. They always catch the races. And didn't get to dedicate my last win, but dedicating this win to my almost 3-month-old now. So I didn't get to say anything about it last time, but I want to say something about it this time.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations once more, Colt. I'm sure we'll be talking to you here coming up as the weeks go on. You say you like Hot Atlanta, so I'll hold you to it. Better be talking to you after the show next weekend.
Will do. Set up a time.
Sounds good. So that's Colt Ainsley winning here at Daytona, and we'll see if we're talking to him next week. I think he understands that's again not the way that anybody wanted to see it go. I mean, he even said it, obviously, but at the same time, as we said, can't blame him for being a driver and making a driver move, going for the race win there at the end of the race, guys. I mean, everybody wants to win, and he's trying to give it his best shot, and he ended up winning in the end. But with that said, we have a couple other drivers in the top 3 to talk to. Trey, take it away.
Hey, Thomas McMullen, this is Trey up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, you started off, you rolled off P14, had a little bit of issues going on throughout the race, had a little bit of trouble, and then you find yourself P2 at the end.
Yeah, let me tell you, you have no idea how good it feels to be talking to you right now. I did not expect that I would pull out even a top 5 tonight, man, after everything that went on during that race.
Yeah, it was hectic to say the least. You were up front for a good portion, and then obviously mentioned before that you had a little bit of some issues, and then talk us through that final restart there, the final green white checkered. You know, I'm not quite sure exactly where you were in the mix of that, and then you come out of turn 4, and you know you got cars flipping and flying all over the place.
Yeah, I got knocked out of the groove right there and fell back. Pretty much thought the race was over, and I can't remember who was behind me. I'm guessing it was Alan, but we just kind of hooked up, and just kind of prayed that they were going to wreck in front of us, and then we were coming through 3 and 4, and I saw they were getting into each other, and just decided I'm going to put the throttle on the floor and see where we end up on the other side of it, and by God, we wound up with P2.
Well, P2 is definitely better than wrecking out for sure. Good points day for you guys. So what can we expect from you going into what can we expect for you going into Atlanta next week?
It's a way different racetrack. Obviously, I'm about to go back and try to relearn how to drive it all over again. I can't remember how to get around that place, but I know it's going to be fast. Just kind of do what we did today. Just hang out and try to be a factor at the end. Stay out of a little bit more trouble next week, hopefully. That would be nice. And I don't know, just try to come out with a good finish and stay relevant in the points.
Getting a good finish is always the goal at the end. But while we have you, you have anybody to thank who makes it happen for you?
Just a huge thank you to the league, Bobby, David, all the sponsors that they've accumulated that help us out, man. It's really cool to see how much work that goes into it, and how much they've been able to come up with, and just all the supporters that we have. Looking forward to a good season for sure.
Well, we enjoy and look forward to covering the rest of the season for you guys. You guys put on a heck of a show tonight, and we're looking forward to covering it.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna go back and watch the replay, see how y'all did.
Well, hopefully we did a good enough job for it, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you as well. That is Thomas McMullen, our P2 finisher. And then next up, we have Alan DeFries, our P3 finisher, and we're going to hand it to Trey Shuttlesworth.
Alan DeFries, do you have a copy? Oh, might have to try that one more time. Alan DeFries, do we have you?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, hello. So, honestly, Alan, there were a few times near the back end of the race where we thought you were out of contention. I think you were involved in like 2 instances there in the last 2 yellows, yet you come out with the P3. Just walk us through your initial thoughts there on a third place finish tonight.
Well, actually, I was relatively surprised. I was actually just kind of sitting here while I was waiting, kind of watching the replays a little bit because so much happened there in the last few laps that I kind of forgot. So I don't think there was anybody that didn't hit me tonight or me hit them, and just kind of back and forth one of those nights.
It just happens that sometimes at Daytona, you're definitely not wrong. Otherwise, concerning tonight, what was your initial strategy coming in? We know that full fuel was in effect, but we had limited tires. Is that something you took into account?
Well, I mean, I wanted to be conscious of it, but with the 3 sets, it was going to be more than enough as long as we took care of them. I did get a little bit loose there towards the end of the run, but initially I just wanted to be conservative. We got some new guys in the league and just kind of wanted to feel everybody out and see who I was going to be able to run with and who I needed to stay away from, and was just trying to be safe. And a couple opportunities presented itself for me to kind of be up there and mingle in the front, so I did, but I just kind of kept getting caught up. So one of those nights.
Hey, despite that, you'll end up with a P3 finish tonight. One more thing I did want to ask you concerning tonight's race. We were wondering, were you on a fast repair there when we came to, I believe it was the second green-white checker?
Yeah, I didn't have to use my fast repair until I believe like right at 10 to go, or maybe it was that first green-white checker. So the problem was I got the lucky dog there and came around, but I got tied up behind some people I had to wait for, so I had my lap right back down again. So yep, I was good to go with just a few laps to go, and then on that one green-white checker, I don't remember if it was the first one or the last one, but I kind of slowed down for the wreck in front of me, and somebody didn't behind me.
Yep, we did capture that, and I mean, I keep repeating myself, but despite that, it's still a third place finish in what was absolutely a hectic race. Looking ahead, round 2 is going to be at Atlanta. How are you looking going into that, and what are your thoughts beyond Atlanta as well?
Oh, I'm looking forward to Atlanta. Atlanta's one of the tracks I like to go to. I like the super speedways. Those are probably my favorite. Michigans, Californias, and such. But Atlanta's a lot of fun too. It's a driver's track. Tires are definitely going to be an issue. So, looking forward to the season. Looking forward to the competition. It's nice to see some new faces in here, and nice to be with a new broadcast group too.
Yep, you guys were an absolute blast to watch tonight. Any sponsors, friends, family, anyone you want to thank out there for your efforts tonight?
Nope, unfortunately not sponsored, so just kind of doing it for fun. I'd say hi to my family, but I know they don't watch me too much. They just kind of let me live down here in the basement and have my quiet time to myself. So thanks to all the guys in the league. Thanks to you guys up in the booth, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you, Alan. And yeah, definitely hope to see you at Atlanta next week.
Take care.
That was Alan DeFries. He will finish third place tonight here at Daytona International Speedway.
As I always say, it's good to talk to these drivers after the fact and during the race when we get the chance to and hear their sides of things. Man, that's one way to wrap up the show, let me tell you. That was a crazy, crazy finish to wrap up a crazy, crazy day. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened because it all happened just so quickly. And I'm still in awe a little bit at the finish. That was insane. But you know what? What we can do is look at the results real quick, since we did have that finish, and make sure everybody knows where everybody finished in this race. Cole Ansley, your race winner here at Daytona International Speedway. Thomas McMullen wraps up second. Alan DeFries, we just spoke with him, in third. Tommy D'Angelo in fourth place, and Fred Straylich ends up in fifth.
Yeah, picking up at 6, we have Jeff Napier. David Bradford, as you see, got hooked there on the last green-white checkered on the white flag there, went from the lead, finished 7th place. Scott Warren, as we see there, coming to the checkered, went upside down and flipped, finishes 8th. Justin Napier on his lead at the end, finishes 9th, 1 lap down, and Will Hewitt rounds out our top 10.
As we look beyond the top 10, Chris Mathis was so consistent in the middle stages of the race. He unfortunately is going to run out of fast repairs and luck, and he'll finish 5 laps down in 11th. Cody Harger as well. He'll finish 6 laps down in 12th. Hayes Booth was involved in, I believe, the incident on the first green-white checker, or it may have been the second. Regardless, he will finish 10 laps down in 13th. Nick Hurd was very strong. He avoided, terminal damage several times, yet he's going to finish 14th, 17 laps down, and then Chris Johnson will finish 15th, 20 laps down.
In 16th, it's Bobby Hamilton Jr., 30 laps down. He had such a good run going as well, led a few laps, and just got caught up in a few incidents. Right there with him, 35 laps down, though, is Jean Bohorquez. Hopefully that's somewhere around where the pronunciation should be. He finishes 17th. Vincent Short, again, I give him the award for sticking through it, never quitting, ends up 41 laps shy, but does finish 18th position. Mark Truxell, who he passed to get there, in 19th. So Vincent's efforts were not all for naught. Ends up at least getting a couple of spots, getting by Truxell and Andrew Cootie, who finishes in 20th spot, 74 laps down. Mike Aiello Jr. did show up this evening, but did not take to the racetrack, and therefore finishes technically 21st. No laps completed this evening. Boys, it was certainly a wild one, and as always, glad to have you guys alongside me. That was one wild way to open up what is going to be a wild, wild season.
Absolutely. Definitely just... wild is really the word to really say with that. I was trying to find something else to really capture what it was, but just wild is really the word that really goes with it. Just, I'm really excited to what we can expect to see next week at Atlanta. As they said before, it's a fun racetrack. It's a driver's racetrack. We're definitely going to be seeing how tires come into play there, and I'm ready for it.
We step away from Daytona, and I think Atlanta will be our true litmus test to be able to see quality of drivers in this series, who's going to be the guys to look out for over the course of the 14 race season. Otherwise, we're going to see more races at racetracks where you don't have to be full throttle in restrictor plate based draft packs, and it's just going to be a lot of fun at Atlanta. As I believe it was Alan DeVries said, or it might have been Thomas McMullen. I think it was Thomas McMullen actually. Atlanta is a true driver's track. Drivers really have to manage tire degradation there, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we get some long green flag runs there.
Definitely hoping to be mostly clean and green next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, tonight, having the yellows just part of it here at Daytona. Before we go, we of course want to thank everybody who supports both the league and us at PitStop TV. We'll start off with league sponsors first. We've got... This is a wild set of sponsors, actually. Waffle House, First Horizon Bank, Whoppers, Zero Bar, Dr. Pepper, and 7-Up. And I'm definitely, I think, going to have to grab a Dr. Pepper after this one. That would be my choice of the bunch, because that was a wild one, and I talked a lot, and I need to refill with something. We also want to thank Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want. We will custom create a beautiful frame to high quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for more information. And of course, Permanent Makeup in Cryo and Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. And at Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com. Again, that is permanentmakeupinmaine.com, or call or text them at 207-358-8683. 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine a call today to book a consultation. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, you can enter one of their monthly giveaways. Enter today. Who knows, you may be a winner soon enough. Of course, we also want to thank Whiplash Media, PitStop TV's new parent organization that specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing, camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more information. It was again a wild one this evening in Daytona, but that does conclude our coverage of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series at Daytona International Speedway. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to join us again for 3 nights of action this week, including Operation E Motorsport on Tuesday evening, the Bluegrass iRacing Series on Wednesday evening, and the Makoni Setup Shop Fall Brawl on Friday. The Superior Class Auto Racing Series will continue its new season next Sunday from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStopTV, over on Twitter at PitStopTV_. Of course, you can look us up on YouTube. Just search PitStop TV. You can also find us streaming on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV. For all of PitStop TV, Trey Patton and Trey Shuttlesworth alongside me on the mic. Also, Trey Shuttlesworth mess around on his phone the entire broadcast, doing our social media. I am Andrew Cardinale IV for PitStop TV, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.